29%. Chapter 141 Destroyer. Another one to die. Subscription. One after another, the faster-than-light jump helped torpedoes crashed into the battleships of Northern civilization. The top proton decomposition device of the superluminal jump torpedo decomposes the outer armor and inner wall structure of the battleship that blocks the way. Countless Chaos Warriors howled out from the torpedoes. And the Northern civilization obviously did not expect that the destroyer civilization would use the superluminal torpedo as a weapon to directly carry people. Although Northern civilization and Chaos forces combat rich experience. But all along, the chaotic forces in the Milky Way, especially the forces of the evil god Korn, are not very strong. Therefore, Northern civilization cleared Chaos, and most of the fights were crushing games that depended on their own civilization level. Before this, Northern civilization had never encountered such a powerful chaotic force that could directly carry out ultra-long-range assaults, ignore the shield of the warship's space warping force field, and then directly conduct jump gang operations. However, Northern civilization is an old-fashioned fourth-level civilization. Although they were frightened by the tactics of the destroyer civilization at first, they quickly responded. The weapons outside the battleship still remain on the enemy battleship, and the enemy launches torpedoes to intercept them at the same time. The interior of a battleship of Northern civilization began to meet with Chaos Warriors. Street fighting. The battle inside the battleship can be called street fighting. Compared with the distance in space, the two sides really hit each other inside the battleship. It is not particularly spacious in the internal passage of the battleship. Ha ha ha, kill. A Chaos Warrior whose flesh and blood had merged with his power armor wielded a battle axe that seemed to breathe as if alive. He opened his mouth with the fused fangs, and the two demon horns borne on the head had already penetrated the helmet and exposed outside. Behind him, there are groups of Chaos Warriors with densely packed human skulls. Rush forward with him. On the opposite side of the passage, several Northern soldiers formed a fire team. Fire. With an order, the heavy Gauss electromagnetic armor-piercing machine gun deployed here roared. Zzzzz. Continuous blue electromagnetic light flashes from the gun body and the muzzle. The physical kinetic energy bullets that are invisible to the naked eye are shot frantically. Against Korn Chaos forces, the best weapons are still kinetic weapons and melee combat. Because high-level Chaos believers usually get more advanced blessings, making their own bodies immune to damage from some energy weapons. This is the blessing of the evil god Korn. The straight line distance between the two sides is not long, only a few hundred meters. The distance of more than 100 meters, almost within a second, the huge bodies of the Chaos Warriors can run across. They can run at subsonic speeds. At this moment, hundreds of rounds of high-explosive armor-piercing projectiles with large caliber and high-explosive parts flew out through the electromagnetic acceleration of the Gaussian coil. In an instant, the Chaos Warriors who were running at subsonic speed came on the head. Boom. Whoa. High-explosive armor-piercing bullets with unparalleled kinetic energy hit the helmet of a Chaos Warrior. Pierce through armor, then explode. In an instant, the entire passage was like minced meat chopped by a knife. The smashed flesh and blood of hundreds of Chaos Warriors smeared on the walls, the ground, and their companions behind. Death does not frighten Chaos Warriors, but makes them extremely excited. Even if these deaths come from the companions around. And at this moment, the Chaos Warriors who paid hundreds of casualties also successfully rushed to the front of the fire team. Then comes close combat, hack and slash, hack and slash. The soldiers of the Northern civilization are basically not the opponents of the Chaos Warriors in melee combat. The fire point was pulled out in an instant. In fact, the Northern soldiers of the fire team in this tunnel were lucky. At least when they encountered the enemy, the other party was still 100 meters away from them. Allows them to enjoy as little as 1/3 of a second the time of the fire tilt. The interior of a battleship is intricate. Many of the other Northern soldiers' fire teams were preparing to go to the predetermined blocking position when they turned a corner and directly collided with the Chaos Warriors. Then a tragic close-quarters fight will unfold. The inside of the battleship is not large, and the intricate passages are used for street fighting. Northern civilization has suffered a lot. These Chaos Warriors are strong and unafraid of casualties. It didn't take long for the battle to begin, and more than 10 battleships that were penetrated by the Chaos Warriors were already controlled by the Chaos Warriors. Hundreds of other ships were destroyed by the fire of the destroyer ships. Over time, the Northern fleet's disadvantage grew. After all, no matter what, the enemy has at least 5 million battleships or more. At the moment, the Northern fleet is only about 300,000 ships. Firepower and level are not at the same level. In less than an hour, the Northern fleet directly lost nearly 10,000 warships. Some of these ships were destroyed by the fire of the destroyer civilization warships. Some were beaten by the super light jump to help the torpedoes break through the near-fire resistance, and the Chaos Warriors broke into the interior of the battleship. All in all, the total loss is about 10,000 ships. Nearly 10,000 ships were lost in an hour. According to this casualty, the remaining battleships of Northern civilization can last for 29 hours. No, the Northern civilization fleet will only lose faster and faster, and as the loss increases, their firepower will also weaken. At that time, the loss will only be faster. It is estimated that in less than 10 hours, the fleet of Northern civilization will be completely wiped out. 10 hours, very soon. After all, the space is extremely wide. In order to avoid being attacked by the enemy, the fleet is very scattered, and the distance between each warship is even more than 1,000 kilometers. HMPH, these stupid creatures of the galaxy are beyond their own power. Dare to come and try to stop me. It seems that the Milky Way is no more than that. After cutting off the heads of everyone in this fleet, let's slaughter the entire galaxy step by step. The gigantic body of Siltier Towers was suspended in the space, and the huge eyes flashed with scarlet light, like two blood-colored moons in the dark space. Just at this time, a burst of space fluctuations spread. A dark, blue light portal unfolded in the space of space. Not relying on the way of transition of stars, 100,000 streams of light flickered out from it, and the support of a fleet group of the Dakan Empire, about 100,000 battleships, has arrived. Did you die again? Siltier Towers sneered, not caring about the new 100,000 warships. After changing hands, he ordered the destroyer battleship to launch super light jumping torpedoes, and still launched a jumping raid on the opponent. Even the Silti Tower division is still a little happy. Very good, and there are more to die. 29%. Chapter 142. Do you corn believers only have dance gangs in their minds? Subscription. In this field of space, the light from the stars within the galaxy illuminates part of its darkness. At this moment, the battle has progressed to this level, and a large number of Northern battleships have been entangled with the destroyer battleships. The two sides are fighting together, very chaotic. You have me, I have you. It can be said that this method of combat is not common. Because of regular space encounters, the two fleets battled each other at a distance of 10,000 kilometers. Even if they are close, the distance between the two sides must be tens of thousands of kilometers. Generally speaking, unless there are special circumstances, it will not be too close. Such conventional wars have basically no more than a few outcomes. One of the parties completely wipes out the other, or one of the two parties flees or surrenders. May 4-3, but Chaos Warriors who believe in corn don't like battleships. They prefer to fight in close quarters. Because in close combat, while cutting off the head of the enemy, it is more likely to be favored by the evil god Corn. This is their way of gaining the pleasure and favor of the gods they worship. So, in time is in the midst of a space encounter. In most cases, Chaos Warriors will choose to launch a jump gang to the opponent's battleship and fight in close quarters. And this situation undoubtedly caused trouble to the fleet of the Great Qin Empire's group army that had already been supported. Because if all the enemies gather into one group, the fleet group of the Qin Empire can directly launch silicon-based transformation bombs, transforming all the enemy's Chaos Warriors into unconscious machines. So easy to win. But at this moment, a large number of Northern civilization warships have been entangled with the destroyer's warships. Under such circumstances, the Dakan Empire fleet would not be able to launch a large-scale indiscriminate attack. Of course, if it was another civilization, the Dakan Empire fleet might not care, but the Northern civilization was the founder of the Bounty Hunter organization. It is closely related to the Elephant Man civilization of Barbarans. The Elephant Man civilization of Barbaros was the civilization that first entered the hub galaxy of the Great Qin Empire and fought with the fleet of the Great Qin Empire. Qin Sheng regarded Northern Black of the Elephant Man civilization as a friend to a certain extent. For friends of friends, Qin Sheng will not be so relentless to carry out indiscriminate elimination. The one in charge of commanding this fleet group army is still Chi-Chi Payer. Chi-Chi Payer took this factor into consideration, so she did not directly launch a large-scale indiscriminate attack. Instead, move forward, attracting firepower to the Northern civilization fleet in the deep front and helping them reduce pressure. The support of the Qin Empire is here. Admiral Northern civilization, who was in charge of commanding the battle, was shocked. With the addition of the 100,000 warships of the Deccan Empire, the pressure on the Northern civilization fleet suddenly eased. Most of the destroyer warships began to turn around and launched an assault on the newly emerging Deccan fleet. This time, the destroyer battleship is still ready to repeat the same trick. Launch a large number of super light-speed jumping torpedoes, ready to conduct long-distance jumping operations against the fleet of the Deccan Empire. When Admiral Northern Civilization saw this, he quickly sent a communication reminder to Chi Pyre: "Be careful, those are not ordinary torpedoes. They are chaotic jumping torpedoes. There are chaos warriors hidden in it, and if they are hit, they will directly break into the interior of the battleship." Jump gang. When Chi Pyre heard this, the corners of her mouth twitched slightly, and a smile appeared on her delicate and beautiful face. Then let them try. 1. In space, millions of destroyer warships jointly launch the first wave of long-range jumping torpedoes against the Deccan Empire fleet. It is conservatively estimated that hundreds of millions of Chaos Warriors are hidden in those countless torpedoes, and as their one-time jumping super light vehicles, they launch an assault on the fleet of the Deccan Empire. The Tachyon Light Spear close-up defense array of the Deccan Empire's vanguard fleet started instantly. Although they are called Deccan and Northern Civilization, the close-up weapons used are small Tachyon Light Spears. But the Tachyon Light Spear of the Deccan Empire and the Tachyon Light Spear used by the Northern Civilization are like two completely different weapons in terms of power. A defensive array of extremely dense light spears flickered in space. Accurate and extremely fast to intercept the superluminal jumping torpedoes that dare to approach zero. In an instant, in the space area between the two fleets, there were flying light spears everywhere, and torpedoes that were precisely hit by the light spears, one after another, flashing brilliantly explosive light. The first wave of jumping torpedoes launched by the destroyer fleet were all intercepted by the light spears of the Deccan Empire fleet. Without exception, even taking this opportunity, the fleet of the Deccan Empire is still tilting its firepower towards the destroyer fleet. Laplace, heavy Tachyon light spears, superluminal antimatter missiles, and all kinds of intensive long-range firepower slanted down. Seeing the gigantic devil's head on the Silti Tower, his eyelids jumped. After the wave of firepower of the Great Qin Empire was tilted just now, at least 2,000 destroyer battleships were penetrated by their shields and completely destroyed. In fact, this victory made Chi Pyre not very satisfied. It can only be said that the destroyer civilization is worthy of being a quasi-level 5 civilization. The strength of its battleship shield and the strength of the hull have reached a level that can hinder the Laplace heavy Tachyon light spear to a certain extent. For a long time, the Laplace heavy Tachyon light spear directly ignored the enemy's shield because of its own Tachyon penetration characteristics. Now the enemy's shield can actually block the Laplace heavy Tachyon spear slightly. I have to say, it's really strong. Because of this, the 5.2 salvo just destroyed only more than 2,000 destroyer battleships. On the side of Surti, he still did not change his mind. Maybe the mind of Korn is a little stiff, just thinking about jumping to fight. They still fire FTL torpedoes. But this time they didn't all launch jump torpedoes. But among a large number of true FTL antimatter torpedoes, there are some FTL jumping torpedoes carrying Chaos Warriors. But in essence, a large number of superluminal antimatter torpedoes are not valued by the destroyer civilization, and what they really hope to hit each other is still the jumping torpedo that needs to carry out the jump gang operation. Just a question that makes people want to ask: do you guys who believe in Korn only have melee combat in their minds? 29%. Chapter 143 The Korn Demon feels both evil and shock. Subscription. This time, the number of torpedoes launched by the destroyer fleet was several times larger than the previous one. Under the forward charge of this dense and fast torpedo, under the cover of the real superluminal torpedoes, many of those superluminal jumping torpedoes were able to break through the near firepower network of the Deccan Empire's vanguard fleet. These jumping torpedoes that successfully broke through the firepower network of the vanguard fleet of the Deccan Empire began to slow down in an instant. Exit the superluminal curvature state and enter the sublight speed. And prepare to break through the space distortion field shield of the Deccan fleet. Seeing this scene, a hideous smile appeared on the head of the Siltier Tower's demon. How's the firepower? Didn't we break through your near firepower net? Now, just waiting for his powerful Chaos Warrior to successfully break into the interior of the opponent's battleship, and then there is good news. Ha ha ha, successfully broke through the firepower network. I can feel it slowing down, all armed. Get ready to decapitate these new enemies. Ha 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 ha. Within a 100-meter-long jumping torpedo, nearly 1,000 Chaos Warriors smiled grimly, and in the dark space, nearly 1,000 kinds of strange eyes flickered with scarlet rays of light. However, at this moment, the entire jumping torpedo suddenly stopped suddenly. Starting to break through the armor of the opposing warship. Chaos Warriors can't see what's going on outside and can only guess. Crack, quack quack quack. Suddenly the sound of the whole torpedo became louder, and it began to vibrate violently. At this moment, the Chaos Warriors suddenly felt. The inner space of the torpedo is more narrow. What happened? Isn't it breaking through the armor of the enemy warship? In the scarlet eyes of the Chaos Warriors, they found out that the internal structure of the torpedo they were in suddenly began to distort. Twisted like a large screw. The internal structure is getting smaller and smaller. Boom. Cuck it. A loud noise resounded from within. At this moment, the entire jumping gang torpedo was twisted like a screw, the caliber began to become thinner, and the length of the original 100 meters was stretched to 300 meters in an instant. Nearly 1,000 Chaos Warriors inside were instantly crushed into blurred flesh and blood. The perspective shifts to the outside. A Dakin Empire battleship is 1 kilometer away in space. The 4 jumping torpedoes seem to be held back and forth by 4 pairs of invisible big hands, and then twisted like a wet towel. All the jump gang torpedoes were fixed in the outer space of the Dakin Empire battleship, and they couldn't move an inch, and they became extremely distorted. It was the sky curtain, space distortion field shield of the Great Qin Empire that blocked them. After the space warping force field of the battleship of the Dakin Empire is turned on, it will act within 1 kilometer around the battleship. The sky curtain, space warping force field shield is a space warping force field shield whose strength has been increased by 1,000 times. The intensity of its space distortion, even the Dakin Empire's own warships would not easily approach a friendly warship with its shield turned on. This is why the distance between the 2 warships in the Dakin fleet must not be less than 1,000 kilometers. Because once they got close enough, if a warship was hit by a weapon unbalanced, and slammed into a friendly warship next to it, the unbalanced warship would be twisted and destroyed by the high-intensity, sky curtain, space warping force field. The powerful twisting force from space instantly twisted the 4 Chaos Jump Gang torpedoes that were trying to approach the Dakin battleship into slender screws. It was like wringing a wet towel, but it was not the water that was wringed out, but the flesh and blood of the Chaos Warrior that had become slag. Siltier Towers, who discovered this, widened his blood-red eyes in shock. Which civilization is this? Level 5 civilization. How can the strength of the space warping force field shield be so high? Siltier Towers was shocked. Their tactic of trying to launch the jump gang again failed again. After once again smashing the Chaos Warriors' intention of jumping to fight at a long distance, Chi Payer, who commanded the Dakin fleet, gave an order: let's send some small gifts to those who believe in corn. The surface decks of the 100,000 Great Qin Empire battleships were lifted. A dense missile silo launch array is revealed. Look at the style, basically all are super light antimatter missiles. Thousands of flickering lights rang out. No dense swarms of missiles flew into space, out high. Then, after correcting the ballistic trajectory, countless perfect sharp-angle turning marks were drawn in space. Tens of millions of superluminal missiles entered the superluminal state at the same time. Crash into the destroyer civilization's fleet. FTL antimatter hydrogen bomb. HMPH, this weapon is not worth mentioning to us. Siltier Towers snorted coldly and ordered the fleet to start intercepting. But then, Siltier Towers was dumbfounded. Because in general, superluminal missiles use curvature engines. After the launch, the speed of light itself is super light. If you want to do orbital movement to avoid interception, it is more difficult. But the super light speed missiles launched by the Dakin Empire are not orbital, but variable curvature engine missiles. This curvature engine missile automatically adjusts its speed. 100 times the speed of light for a while, 200 times the speed of light for a while, and then directly reduced to 10 times the speed of light for a while, and then increased to 400 times the speed of light in an instant in the next second. Its trajectory is simply unpredictable. To intercept such superluminal missiles, the usual practice is to calculate their speed, and then quickly calculate the trajectory, and use the superluminal tachyon spear for prejudgment and accurate interception. It is very easy to intercept ordinary superluminal missiles that cannot change speed and are very difficult to change orbits. But now, under the speed change, even the tachyon light spear interception system cannot accurately track and calculate the data of each missile. Because it is constantly changing. In this case, the intercepting lance launched by the destroyer civilization only hit 1/10 of the missiles and intercepted them. The remaining 9/10 of the missiles all breached the interceptor fire net of the destroyer civilization. It doesn't matter, it's just antimatter missiles. The shield of our destroyer battleship not only has space distortion, but also magnetic confinement. Good defense against antimatter. 1. Then your antimatter missiles lose their maximum power. Siltier Towers said that he should not panic and keep his hands steady. However, the next moment, he was dumbfounded. Because those superluminal missiles did not release antimatter explosions after they approached the destroyer battleship. Instead, just like their jump torpedoes, a hatch was opened. In an instant, like a sandstorm raging in the universe, a dense, terrifying number of mechanical Zerg were released. What? The Silti Tower Division was completely shocked. You don't believe that the ordinary civilization of Khorne also learns to dance with us? Also, what kind of thing are you releasing to fight with jumping gangs? Zerg. Siltier Towers was shocked and angry at the same time. Those Zerg guys betrayed him. 30%. Chapter 144. The Great Devil of Khorne. The opposite Dakin is so evil. Subscribe. The warships of these galactic native civilization forces unleashed the Zerg. Shocked Sylvia. It made Siltier Tower feel bad. These Zerg were released by superluminal missiles. This moment made Siltier Tower feel a little awkward. You learn from me. Indeed, this hand is what Chichipayer is learning and using now. When I saw the Chaos Warriors take super light torpedoes one by one to carry out ultra-long distance jump gangs with no return. Chichipayer also learned this skill. On the spot, people were able to refit the superluminal missiles stored in the warship's arsenal. Remove the magnetically confined antimatter device inside the missile. A superluminal missile, the most expensive, is the built-in curvature engine and the internal magnetic confinement antimatter device and antimatter. Now that both the magnetically confined antimatter device and the antimatter inside have been dismantled, a missile is not that expensive. The interior is replaced with a mechanical Zerg-like cannon fodder. After it was launched, it did not hit the enemy warship, but was abandoned in space. The mechanical Zerg can soar in space by themselves, and the mechanical Zerg is a transformation of the original Zerg. The original Zerg has the ability to break through the high-strength armor of enemy warships. In this case, after the shot is finished, the part of the superluminal curvature engine of the missile abandoned in space can be recovered. It can be said that it is many times cheaper than directly using superluminal antimatter missiles to hit the opposite side. Anyway, a thing like the mechanical Zerg is itself cannon fodder. The mechanical Zerg inside the more than 9 million FTL missiles were unleashed. As soon as the dense mechanical Zerg appeared, it was extremely close to the number of enemy warships. They gathered in groups, like a space storm, roaring towards the destroyer civilization's warships. The destroyers close and cannons fired frantically. The dense and fast laser beam instantly wiped out a group of mechanical Zerg, but the next moment, more mechanical Zerg made up for the vacancy. Direct coverage to the destroyer battleship. The two sharp forelimbs of the mechanical Zerg with proton decomposition force field cut through the armor of the battleship. Assault all the way forward. Boom. There was a loud noise inside the battleship, and a roaring mechanical Zerg successfully broke into the interior of the destroyer battleship. Brush. Black light flashed. A demon axe directly cut off the mechanical Zerg in the middle. A Chaos Warrior kicked the upper half of the mechanical Zerg flying, roaring, "Damn bug." However, the next moment, a sharp blade came out through the body. It directly penetrated the power armor on its body, and the other forelimb blade cut off its head. Another mechanical Zerg waved its two sharp forelimbs, roared and dismembered it, and rushed into the battleship with the blood raining all over the sky. There are about 100 billion mechanical Zerg and millions of destroyer battleships raging among them. Some mechanical Zerg rushed into the destroyer's battleship, and another part of the mechanical Zerg entered the Norden civilization's battleship. Hold on. Drive them out of our ships. Admiral Norden civilization personally commanded the soldiers to resist the attacks of Chaos Warriors who had invaded the interior of his warships. Lasers, kinetic energy armor-piercing bombs, and a variety of dense weapons passed through the not-wide passage of the battleship. The Chaos tacticians pushed forward with large shields covered in shields. The strength of the individual large shield of this Chaos Warrior is very high, blocking all kinds of anti-armor kinetic energy weapons fired by Norden soldiers. The individual equipment used by these Chaos Warriors is once again the level of the 4th level peak civilization. And the soldiers of Norden civilization are only the equipment of ordinary 4th level civilization. But in terms of equipment on both sides, the gap is huge. Seeing that the defense line of the Northern civilization guarding the bridge is about to be approached by the Chaos Warriors. When a killing is inevitable, suddenly the rear of the Chaos Warriors became chaotic. What happened? Admiral Northern civilization stared at him with wide eyes. I saw an attack from behind the Chaos Warriors by a group of mechanical Zerg who suddenly appeared at an unknown time. The dense mechanical Zerg rushed into the Chaos Warrior group and started the battle. In terms of strength alone, a mechanical Zerg is not an opponent of a Chaos Warrior. But what is the Zerg most proud of? It's their numbers, it's the efficiency with which they act in groups. A steady stream of Zerg drowned these Chaos Warriors in an instant. After the mechanical Zerg entered the field, many Chaos Warriors broke into the internal Northern civilization battleship to relieve the crisis. This is a communication from the 7th Fleet Group Army of the Dakan Empire. After the Northern Fleet regained control of its own battleship, it quickly left the battlefield. We're about to launch a massive fire strike. After receiving the communication, Admiral Northern civilization issued the order without hesitation. One Northern civilization battleship after another regained control and began to quickly leave the battlefield. The last Northern civilization battleship, which was still in good condition, regained control with the help of the mechanical Zerg. The rear engine immediately turned on full power, bypassing a destroyer battleship blocking the front, and successfully forcibly escaped from the battlefield against the firepower of the opponent. That's the last one. Very well. All the warships obey the order, and the Laplace Lance mode is adjusted to full power burst. Prepare to launch a continuous air coverage bombing strike. Without the restriction of the Northern Fleet in front, the Dakan Empire's fleet could finally launch a fire strike without any hesitation. The large caliber, Laplace, heavy-duty Tachyon spear at the front of the bow of the 100,000 Dakan Empire warship swayed across the entire space flashed light. It aimed at the destroyer fleet cluster hundreds of millions of kilometers in front of it, which was plagued by a dense swarm of mechanical insects. The near firepower of the destroyer fleet is frantically outputting to the nearest mechanical Zerg cluster. Countless mechanical Zerg rushed to the destroyer battleships round by round. How is Li? However, at this moment, a blazing light spear that instantly traversed the entire space appeared. In an instant, this group of mechanical Zerg turned into fly ash, and even the destroyer battleship in front was hit together. The shield of the destroyer battleship flickered frantically, that is, it shattered after 0.01 seconds. The Tachyon lance directly penetrated the opponent's hull. One hit. Scrap it. The next moment, more, faster, and incomparably dense Tachyon light spear strike arrays struck. Together with the mechanical Zerg along the way, they will also be destroyed, destroying countless destroyer battleships. These mechanical Zerg are only temporary consumables themselves. These goddamn galactic native civilizations, acting in such an evil style. Seeing the Dakan Empire fleet that was also wiped out with the Zerg that fought for them, Sir Tietta's eyes widened. Is he a demon, or is the other party a demon? 30%. Chapter 145 all gathered, so that they can be destroyed together. Subscription. The continuous firepower of the Dakan Empire Fleet Group Army continued. It's not a simple blow to stop after one round. Instead, it was aimed at consuming 50% of the entire fleet's entire energy reserves. This shows how terrifying the intensity and persistence of its firepower is. Dense explosions flickered in space. Seeing this, Siltier Tower understood that the part of his battleship that was hit by the first firepower had been completely scrapped. It was this round of long-range firepower that destroyed at least 1 million battleships in the destroyer civilization. The rest of the battleships, move quickly. Follow me and attack them from the flanks. Siltier Towers roared and issued an order. A huge body up to 100 kilometers is advancing in space. The demonic engines and reactors in the body are running fast. The curvature engine built into the body also comes into play. The space outside the entire huge body began to distort. In this case, Siltier Towers directly entered the state of curvature, and charged forward madly at a speed of 100 times the speed of light. The commander charged directly, and the remaining destroyer battleships also entered a state of assault, starting to charge forward from the flanks. There are still no less than 4 million destroyer battleships in this galaxy at present. Covered by the intensive firepower of the 7th Fleet Group Army of the Great Qin Empire, it was only the million destroyer battleships at the forefront. Now, under the leadership of the Siltier Tower Division, the remaining 543 destroyer battleships finally began to exert their strength. A total charge was launched towards the fleet of the Dakan Empire. All battleships, retreat. Keep the distance of firepower output. Chi Pyre immediately ordered the fleet to maneuver to keep a distance from the Silti Tower division. After all, up to now, the superiority of the fleet of the Great Qin Empire is the range superiority of the battleship weapons. In terms of firepower alone, the firepower of the destroyer battleship is actually very strong. It's just because they believe in corn, so most of them don't like to use long-range firepower, and they prefer melee combat to cut off the enemy's head. And they are numerous, and now they are still 40 times the fleet of the Great Qin Empire. If they get close, under the concentrated fire of many destroyer battleships, even if the Deccan Empire battleship has the Sky Curtain space distortion force field shield, it will not be too good. The loss will not be small. After all, no matter how strong the Sky Curtain space distortion field shield is, there is a limit. Want to retreat? Want to run? How easy is it? Siltier Towers was very angry. As soon as these fleets arrived, their powerful firepower caused huge losses to his fleet. There are also Zerg troops. Thinking that he was betrayed by the Zerg, coupled with the huge loss of ABFC men, this made Siltier Towers extremely angry. He must behead all the opponents, sacrifice blood to the blood god, and sacrifice his head to the skull seat before he is willing to give up. Have all the Northern civilization fleets been evacuated? Chi Pyre asked. All have been evacuated. Very well, let's evacuate now. But don't cover up the traces and directions of our evacuation. All fleets, start the leap engine. With an order, all the battleships stopped their firepower, and then each started the star system transition engine. In an instant, under the light from the stars, the space in this space was distorted, and 100,000 space portals emitting blue light opened. In an instant, 100,000 battleships turned into streamers and entered the transition portal directly. Disappeared into space. Ran. Don't try to run. Siltier Towers roared, and immediately began to track the other party's space trail. Ha ha ha. Found it. Follow me. Afterwards, he also opened the transition channel and led the remaining 4 million destroyer battleships into the transition channel one by one. Chased it. The edge of the Milky Way, a galaxy 9,000 light-years away from the galaxy where the 7th Fleet Group of the Qin Empire and the destroyer civilization fought. Hundreds of thousands, huge Zerg Leviathan roaring in space. Every Leviathan is releasing incomparably huge and dense types of Zerg. At the same time as the release, the extra space inside is also continuously consuming the stored nutrients and resources, creating a new swarm of insects. In a short period of time, the number of Zerg in this galaxy has exceeded 1 trillion billion. On the outside, there is a huge number, about 70 million warships from Ming have already caused the entire galaxy. And quickly pulled up a peripheral superluminal isolation belt. The Emperor Battlestar of the Deccan Empire and a neutron Battlestar are also here. Emperor Qin, still haven't launched an attack. The number of Zerg in this galaxy has exceeded 1 trillion billion. In another period of time, it is estimated that it will exceed 1 trillion. When the time comes to attack, it will be difficult. The head of the hero military nation frowned and asked with a shark-like mouth. Don't worry, there's another guest who hasn't come. Qin Sheng stood with his hands behind his back, the corners of his mouth slightly raised, revealing a leisurely smile. The other 4 fourth-level peak civilizations in the Milky Way convened all the fleets, basically gathered in the outer periphery of the galaxy. About 70 million warships completely surrounded this galaxy. According to the information I have obtained, the destroyer civilization has a neutron battlestar, but the fleet I sent to test them before did not find the destroyer civilization's neutron battlestar. This shows that the neutron battlestar has not yet entered the field. But the commander of the destroyer civilization came to the galaxy one step ahead. Since the neutron battlestar doesn't enter the arena, let's force them to enter. Qin Sheng said. In the outer space of the galaxy, dense space transition channels opened. The 100,000 battleships of the 7th Fleet Group Army led by Chi Pyre jumped over. Oh, another guest is coming. Qin Sheng saw this and said. The Deccan Empire has a star system transition engine that is a true 5th-level civilization, and it can transition without the help of stars. But destroyer civilizations are still limited to stars. Siltier Towers chased after him, and he had to jump out of the stars inside this galaxy. And inside the galaxy, Qin Sheng has already arranged. It didn't take long. There are indeed space fluctuations from the stars inside the galaxy. Backed by a huge star, in the huge transition channel, the Silti Tower division with a body as high as 100 kilometers rushed out violently with huge anger. However, wherever you look, there are Zerg figures everywhere in the galaxy. At this time, it was arranged in advance by Qin Shang, and the mechanical Zerg disguised as ordinary Zerg appeared, and took the lead in attacking the Silti Tower division. Damn bugs. Is this a trap set up jointly by you and those galactic civilizations? What about those galactic cowards? Since I can't see them, then I will destroy you first. Siltier Towers was furious. He thought that the Zerg had united with the civilization of the galaxy and wanted to kill him. Siltier Towers roared, and along with his roar, the heavy destruction light spear built into the huge mouth swept out a laser hundreds of meters thick. In an instant, hundreds of millions of Zerg were swept away. And the Zerg Queen is undoubtedly stunned. What happened? 30%. Chapter 146 Destroyer Neutron Battlestar, the big one is coming. Subscription. Sir Towers, why are you attacking us? The Zerg Queen directly sent a communication to the Sil Tower division and asked. However, Siltier Towers ignored her at all. The current Siri Tower division has been extremely angry. All his patience was drained. There is only the desire to kill. Under this kind of desire, Siltier Towers completely let go of his hands and feet, not only attacking himself, but also ordering the Destroyer Chaos Warriors under his command to kill. And what the Chaos Warriors like most is not to drive warships. Instead, go and fight the enemy in close quarters and cut off the enemy's head. In space, the only place where they can fight close to the enemy is the enemy's battleship. Still the old tradition. The Chaos Warriors roared and launched a jumping gang battle directly to the Zerg Leviathan. This made the Zerg Queen a little stunned. What fighting style is this? She had never seen the Destroyer Chaos Warriors fight before. The most loaded weapon and equipment on the Destroyer battleship is the superluminal jump torpedo. Once this kind of thing is launched and hits the enemy warship, there is only one way for the Chaos Warriors on it to go back. That is to kill the entire enemy warship, and then drive the enemy's warship back. In order to satisfy their slaughter desires, the Chaos Warriors often launch this kind of never-returned jump gang attack. Numerous FTL torpedoes were launched towards the Zerg Leviathan. The Zerg Leviathan is a huge creature, but after transformation, it also has the functions of a technological warship. On the Leviathan are high-energy ion plasma cannon worms that act as long-range weapons, and explosive worms that act as missiles and torpedoes. There are also space warp field shields specially equipped for Leviathan. But anyway, the Leviathan is still a creature. A FTL jump helped the torpedo approach a Leviathan, out of FTL, and into sublight. The space repair device above automatically produces an effect, breaking the space warping force field shield around a Leviathan. Then headed in. But before he could get close, the huge tentacles on the Leviathan's body directly rolled up the jumping torpedo, and with the strong strength of the tentacles and the blessing of the proton decomposition force field above, it was torn into two halves. A large number of Chaos Warriors fell into space. But they turned on the power armor's flying jetpack and still approached the Leviathan. At this time, another huge roll of tentacles directly smashed a large number of Chaos Warriors into space. The chaotic tactics that were sent flying were affected by the tentacle's proton decomposition force field, and turned into dust and dissipated in space. It can be said that it is more difficult for the Chaos Warriors to launch an assault on the Zerg Leviathan. While the Chaos Warriors defied all odds and persevered, there were still many people who successfully broke into the interior of the Leviathan. But inside the Leviathan, waiting for the Chaos Warriors, will be ubiquitous, Leviathan digestive juices that can decompose high-strength alloys and flesh. And the endless General Zerg. And when the Chaos Warriors launched a long-range jump gang raid on the Zerg Leviathan, the Zerg are also fighting back. Although the fight started inexplicably, it did not mean that the Zerg Queen was easy to bully. She immediately ordered the Leviathan fleet to attack the destroyer fleet. Like a cosmic storm, the trillions of Zerg creatures spread across the entire galaxy frantically attacked the destroyer fleet. Above the hundreds of thousands of giant Leviathan, the space cavity opened, and the cannonworms with incomparably huge abdomens spit out clusters of high-energy plasma towards the destroyer fleet. On the side of Leviathan's huge body, there are dense small holes neatly arranged. Inside these holes, the baneling bugs were fired and removed one by one. These explosive bugs can adjust their orbits and aim at their own targets, just like missiles. Moreover, the bodies of these baneling insects are not loaded with high-energy plasma or corrosive acid, but antimatter stabilized by the magnetic confinement field that operates within the baneling insects themselves. And for stability, the surface of these exploding bugs is very firm, much stronger than the average Zerglings. Hundreds of antimatter blemishes entered a state of superluminal curvature on their own, and quickly approached a destroyer battleship. The destroyer battleship's near anti-light spears attacked rapidly, and hundreds of light spears swept across continuously, forming a dense array of near anti-light spears. Explosives who chase their own changing orbits. Most of the banelings were swept away by the lance and exploded in space. But there is a self-exploding insect successfully dodging all the spears, successfully close to the shield of the destroyer battleship. The magnetic binding force field in the body disperses, and the antimatter contacts the positive matter, which will be destroyed. The energy generated by this annihilation is so huge that it even flattens the space. 0. A gentle gap appeared in the space warping force field shield. The countless Zerg who were constantly besieging the destroyer battleship immediately swarmed up and successfully broke into the shield. Then broke into the interior of the battleship. The Chaos Warriors who controlled this battleship never thought that those Zerg were self-exploding insects, and the interior was antimatter. The space is covered by tens of millions of Zerg. And such battles covered the entire space in this galaxy. There are speeding lances, antimatter missiles, jumping torpedoes, high-energy plasma, antimatter explosions everywhere. There is only one thought in the minds of all the about 70 million galactic native civilization combined fleets in an encircling formation outside the galaxy. That is, spectacular. This is different from the general scene where the two fleets of scientific and technological civilization confront each other. Most of the people present have never seen it. All I can say is, it's amazing. Inside the galaxy. In the face of a sea of insects attacking more than 1 billion, no matter how powerful Siltier Towers and his destroyer fleet are, they will be useless if they use the wrong tactics. The Chaos Warriors' long-distance jump gang assault tactic that never returns is essentially a sea of people. When it comes to fighting the sea of people tactics, who can beat the Zerg? Therefore, within the galaxy, the destroyer fleet of Siltier Towers is about to be unable to withstand it. This time, Siltier Tower was even more angry. He couldn't care less, and directly used the superluminal tachyon communication to send the current coordinates to the outside of the Milky Way. The destroyer civilization came to the galaxy, not all the troops. A neutron battle star and more fleets await at the edge of the galaxy. And what it takes to activate the neutron battle star is not ordinary energy, but the blessing of Khorne that they slaughtered bloodstains, so that they can activate the neutron battle star. Generally speaking, the Siltier Tower division will not easily use the neutron war star. After all, to consume the blessing of Khorne. But now, it doesn't matter that much anymore. After the coordinates were sent out, the destroyer neutron battle star fleet waiting in the outer reaches of the Milky Way immediately started the warp and came here. And outside of this galaxy, Qin Shang, who intercepted part of the signal, was in the spirit. Ready to enter. The big one is coming. Pill. 30%. Chapter 147. I also have such a neutron star. And there is more than one. Subscription. Almost all the existing destroyer fleets are fighting hard. At present, the destroyer civilization's warships have been entangled with the swarm. Throughout the galaxy, there are more than 1 trillion Zerg existence. And this number is still rising. Inside the Leviathan, a steady stream of eggs is being hatched, and then grows rapidly in just a few seconds, becoming a complete adult worm. Then break away from the Leviathan and go into battle. And in the areas that did not enter the battle, such as on the planets inside the galaxy, a huge number of insect swarms are continuously decomposing all the resources on the planet, and then recombining them into nutrients. In the past to transport the Leviathan fleet. Under such continuous fighting, even one planet is not enough for the Zerg to eat. The entire galaxy originally had 7 planets, but now 3 planets have been completely decomposed by a huge number of Zerg. It can be said that the destroyer fleet is not an opponent of the Zerg at all. It is failing and continues to attack. It is almost impossible for anyone who believes in Khorne to lose morale in battle. They just fight to the death. Because for them, if they flee or surrender in battle, they become cowards in the eyes of the evil god Khorne, thereby losing all blessings. For those who believe in Khorne, losing the favor of Khorne is more painful than losing their lives and breaking their souls. Therefore, even if they are defeated, they cannot escape. Siltier Towers, I need you to give me an explanation. Why attack us without authorization? Seeing that the Siltier Tower division was about to lose, the Zerg Queen once again sent a communication to ask questions. The questioning this time is full of arrogance. After all, anyone with a discerning eye can see that the Zerg will win. And the destroyer civilization is about to fail. At this time, in fact, the Silty Tower division has already understood a little bit. Thinking about it carefully, there are some subtle differences between the Zerg who attacked him before and the Zerg controlled by the Zerg Queen. He must have been wrong. However, Sylvain Tower Division is a great demon of Khorne, and he has beaten all the fights. It is impossible to admit his mistakes. Besides, now, the way the Zerg Queen spoke to him made him very disliked. The Silty Tower Division knows that this is mostly a conspiracy of the civilization of the galaxy's local forces. Let them kill each other. But the Silty Tower Division, who has already understood the taste, will not stop there. Khorne believers, as long as they are beaten, and they will not give up until they are killed, and there is no reason to stop halfway. Even if it is wrong, it is wrong. The big deal, solve all the Zerg and the local civilization forces of the galaxy. Although the fleet of destroyer civilizations in the galaxy is now retreating. But Siltier Towers has this confidence. Inside the galaxy, where the stars are, a huge transition channel suddenly opened. The whole body is perfectly round, and it is inconspicuous around the stars. A spherical battleship with a diameter of only 12 kilometers jumps over. If you only look at the appearance and size, this spherical warship with a diameter of 12 kilometers is not as big as a Zerg Leviathan. But just like this, after coming to this galaxy, it came into contact with its own limiting force field. And turn on your own neutrino pulse interference device. In an instant, all the Zerg that are currently moving faster than light in the entire galaxy are affected. Hundreds of thousands of antimatter self-exploding insects that were evading the destroyer battleship near the anti-light sphere were moving at a superluminal curvature state, and instantly exited the curvature state. Their speed is drastically reduced. The traces were directly captured by the destroyer battleship, and then the near anti-light sphere was launched to destroy it. The neutron battle star has just arrived on the battlefield, and there is no other action, just turning on the neutrino interference pulse, and the battle situation is changed in an instant. The firepower of the destroyer fleet, which was originally showing signs of decay, began to suppress the surrounding Zerg. At this time, the transition channel at the star is not closed. 7 million destroyer ships jumped from it, descended into this galaxy. At this moment, in the entire galaxy, the number of destroyer civilization battleships has exceeded 10 million. Neutron Battle Star. This is the biggest support of the Sil Tower Division. As long as you have not entered the level of the 5th level civilization, then the Neutron Battle Star is an almost invincible existence. Even for the civilization that has just entered the 5th level civilization, the Neutron Battle Star has a certain deterrent power. Judging from the current reversal of the victory and defeat situation within the entire galaxy, the suppression force of the Neutron Battle Star can be described as amazing. After all, as long as the Neutron Battle Star exists on the battlefield, with the Neutron Battle Star as the center, within 120 light years, all targets marked as enemies will be suppressed by the speed of light. Whether it is a battleship or a weapon, it cannot achieve the effect of superluminal speed. However, your own warships will not be suppressed by this effect. But from this point of view, even if there are no new 7 million destroyer battleships to join, just one neutron battle star joins, and the remaining destroyer battleships are enough to save the defeat. Neutron Battle Star is such an awesome existence. And once the neutron battle star appeared in the galaxy, the neutrino interference pulse emitted by it naturally covered the whole galaxy. It was at this time that the Siltier Tower Division discovered the 70 million galactic combined warships that had been deployed in the outer circle of the entire galaxy. Humph. Sure enough, it really is your trick. There are still a lot of them. Looking at your fleet, it should be a fleet that has assembled all the 4th level peak civilizations in the galaxy. But, nothing more than that. You can't beat me with the neutron battle star at 5.2. Get rid of you, and the Zerg, in this galaxy together. The special Tachyon band roar of Siltier Towers spread throughout the galaxy, and his words revealed incomparable confidence. With the neutron battle star as his backing, he has absolute confidence that he can deal with the entire fleet of Zerg in the galaxy. Outside the galaxy, since the appearance of the neutron war star in the galaxy, the leaders of the other 4 peak 4th level civilizations of the galaxy have been somewhat uneasy. All looked at Qin Sheng. On the other hand, Qin Sheng's mouth twitched slightly. Oh. Really? It's just a neutron battle star. And such a neutron star, I also have it, and more than one. The big fish has entered the net. Support the fleet, allow the jump. Start closing the net. 30%. Chapter 148. You are seeking your own death. Subscription. This is the neutron battle star. The Zerg Queen widened her eyes, looking at the spherical battleship that was only 12 kilometers in diameter, incomparably small compared to the stars, and had an absolutely smooth surface. She could feel that the neutron pulse interference from that neutron battle star was acting on the insect swarm under her command all the time. Even her control of the insect swarm under her command had some disturbances. Under this interference, some swarms that were very far away from the Zerg Queen even experienced some control delays between them. Because under this kind of interference, the Zerg Queen could not control the Zerg swarm by using the super light communication method without delay. This delay depends on the distance, and if the distance is more than 1 light second, the delay is 1 second. For distances greater than 1 light minute, the delay is 1 minute. In this case, the difficulty of the Zerg Queen's control of the Zerg swarms throughout the galaxy increases exponentially. Many swarms were unable to receive the deployment of the Zerg Queen in time due to the delay of distance. There can only be a nearby brain worm to command immediately. In this case, the Zerg Queen directly lost the ability to respond instantaneously in macro control to the entire battlefield. This O1 is deadly enough. A huge number of Zerg began to be divided by the fleet of the destroyer civilization, surrounded, and then annihilated one by one. The balance of victory is tilting in favor of the destroyer civilization. Ha 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 ha, worms are worms. The Silti Tower Division laughed loudly, and as soon as the neutron battle star entered the field, the situation on the battlefield changed in an instant. The Zerg in front of him is nothing to worry about. Even the Siltier Tower Division began to set its sights on the encirclement of the combined fleet of galactic native civilizations outside the galaxy. Everyone, don't look at it, now is your last chance to attack. Otherwise, when I clean up the Zerg and free up my hands, you will no longer have the power to resist. The Siltier Tower Division even took the initiative to remind the combined fleet of the galaxy's native civilization. Prompt them to take the initiative to attack themselves at the moment. From this, it can be seen how arrogant the Siri Tower Division has become at this moment. In fact, if there is no Dakin Empire and no neutron battle star in the combined fleet of local civilizations of the Milky Way, that moment is indeed the time for them to attack. Siltier Towers is right. If he defeats the Zerg and frees up his hands, it will be more troublesome. But what is unbearable is the extremely rampant arrogance of the Siltier Towers at the moment. Within the temporary parliamentary space, the damn demon. The head of the military state of Hero slammed his fist on the table in front of him, gritted his teeth and said, "It's so mad. So confident. Trust me, if you have a neutron battle star, you are more arrogant than it is." The Starry Sky Tower of the Iron Curtain Starry Sky civilization took over the words and said. The group finance and economics of Bei Yin Weiyong looked at Qin Shang, and he said with some worry in his heart, "Your Majesty the Emperor, when will our neutron battle star arrive?" 1. Everyone also looked at Qin Shang. They all hope that their fleet can enter the field at this moment, to combat the arrogance of the Silti Tower Division. But no matter what, the neutron battle star of the Silti Tower Division has already entered. But our neutron star is not even a shadow at this moment. No wonder they weren't worried. Don't worry, we're on our way. Don't worry, I won't let you die, Qin Sheng said indifferently. At this time, in the outermost part of the galaxy, in the outer space, a space area around the dense galactic United Fleet. 4 space transition channels appear in space. In the channel glowing with faint blue light, 4 spherical warships with a diameter of 20 kilometers and an absolute reflection mirror surface of absolute zero on the surface opened out of the transition channel. The 4 space transition channels represent that the 4 battle stars come from different directions. Of these 4 neutron battle stars, one of them was originally owned by Qin Sheng, and the other 3 were newly manufactured in the past few years. It's finally here, and now, we can enter at any time. Qin Sheng's mouth twitched slightly, and he gave an order. One command. 3 of the 4 neutron battle stars opened the space warp again. Disappear. When it reappears, it has emerged from the other 3 horizontal directions of this galaxy. They lead a combined galactic fleet. The neutrino shielding force field was turned on to shelter the galactic combined fleet, so that they would not be interfered by the superluminal speed of the enemy neutron war star. And at this time, Qin Sheng didn't let them in immediately. Make some preparations in advance. Outside the galaxy, in the dense fleet of the Qin Empire, an inconspicuous battleship started the star system transition engine. This battleship took the lead in jumping into the galaxy. Drive out of a transition channel near a star within a galaxy. Not to mention the superluminal interference of the neutron war star of the destroyer civilization, but to talk about the outer superluminal belt. It is impossible to quickly enter this galaxy using ordinary superluminal means. Therefore, when the inner stars still exist, they can only enter the stellar system through the transition of stars. Naturally, the Silti Tower division also noticed the warship that jumped over directly. He was slightly taken aback. A battleship. Send a warship to die. Siltier Towers was angry, and he felt humiliated. However, next, a seemingly ordinary naval gun equipped on the top of the Dakan Empire warship turned its muzzle and aimed at a star that was no more than 1 million kilometers away from it. This is not any special weapon, just an ordinary, high-power electromagnetic acceleration gun. But the 547, an ordinary electromagnetic acceleration gun, is a special attack on the stars. The muzzle of the electromagnetic acceleration gun flickered, and a flickering light particle mass point was fired and removed in an instant. Towards the star at nearly the speed of light. The particle of light hit the star. At a speed close to the speed of light, hitting a star in an instant, the huge amount of kinetic energy that can be generated is enough to cause a devastating blow to this huge star. In an instant, the internal fusion reaction of the star changes. Started violent action. The star's gravitational field also begins to scramble. Under this influence, it is impossible for anyone to make a space transition through this star. After a standard Earth month, the star goes supernova. Of course, supernova explosions are not Qin Sheng's purpose. The purpose of Qin Sheng is to disturb the interior of the star, thereby affecting the transition channel and preventing any enemies in this galaxy from transitioning away. After doing all this, Qin Sheng clapped his hands and said, "Go in." 1. Qin Sheng's neutron battle star is equipped with a star system transition system, which can directly transition without the help of stars. When even the transition portal is opened, 4 neutron battle stars, 70 million Galactic Union battleships began to enter the galaxy, interfering with the transition channel. After you come in, it is impossible to escape in the transition, but don't regret it. You are asking for a dead end. Siltier Towers roared. 31%. Chapter 149 The Collapse of the Corn Demon, the Neutron Star of Instant Destruction. Subscribe. The Silti Tower division witnessed with his own eyes that the battleship of the Dakan Empire launched a mass point light particle at the star. The impact of the light particles directly burns out the life of the star, leaving only 1 month before the supernova will explode. I have neutron war stars. Under the influence of neutron war stars, it is impossible for them to use a speed exceeding the speed of light to enter this galaxy. This time they disrupted the transition channel of the star in advance. Without the transition channel that can directly enter this galaxy, it will take at least a few months for their fleet to enter the galaxy from outside the galaxy at a sublight speed. HMPH, stupid. Siltier Towers thought quickly in his heart. Obviously he did not believe that the combined fleets of those galactic civilizations would have any more advanced transition systems. In order to make interstellar transitions without relying on stars at all, at least the technology of 5th level civilization is required. And the technology of the 5th level civilization, how could these indigenous civilizations in the galaxy have it? Just when Silti Tower was thinking so in his heart, he saw the battleship that the Great Qin Empire jumped in ahead of schedule and destroyed the stars. Hey, let's take your anger out first. Siltier Towers snorted coldly, and then ordered to destroy that battleship. Faced with an enemy warship, Chaos Warriors still choose the old ways. Jump gang. However, just as several super light jumping torpedoes approached the Dakan Empire battleship, suddenly a large swath of dark blue transition channels appeared in this space area and flickered. The densely packed galactic warships jumped in directly from outside the galaxy through a stable transition channel. Tens of millions of streamers flew out of the transition channel, fall into the real 3-dimensional space, and turn into one after another galaxy warships of different shapes. What? Siltier Towers did not expect that the enemy would actually have a way to leap over. Without a stable transition channel for stars, how did they transition in? Could it be that the warship that came in early has already made a gravitational warping point in space, so that they can jump over without the aid of a star? He thought about it quickly and came to a possible conclusion. Siltier Towers is unwilling to use his brain, but it does not mean that he does not have superb thinking ability. Under the technology of the 5th level civilization, if you want to achieve the transition without the help of stars, there is also a way. Like the gravitational warping point technology mentioned earlier, a level 4 civilization with sufficient technical power can enter the transition channel without resorting to stars. But leaving the transition channel requires the help of a star. And vice versa. As long as there is a friendly warship at the target location, a gravitational warping point at the exit of the transition channel can be made through this warship. This allows the warship to leave the warp tunnel without the aid of a star. This is not random access to the transition channel. The target site must have a gravitational warping point. And the current situation seems to meet this condition. HMPH, what if you come in? It's just for letting me catch turtles in the urn. With my neutron star in the galaxy, all your fleet's weapons can't go faster than the speed of light. 1. In this case, it's just, let me slaughter it. Siltier Tower Division immediately ordered some of the destroyer warships to meet the enemy. He only allocated 3 million destroyer battleships. In the eyes of Siltier Towers, with the assistance of neutron battle stars, 3 million destroyer battleships are enough to destroy the 70 million galactic battleships. Of course, this is the result if there are no neutron battle stars on one side of the galaxy. Are these galactic forces coming in to die? At present, the Zerg Queen, who has lost the situation, took a moment to observe the fleets of the Milky Way, and such a question appeared in her heart. After all, in her opinion, without the neutron battle star, these fleets of the Milky Way are just coming in to die. Yet at this time, a spherical warship with a diameter of 20 kilometers and an absolutely smooth reflective surface appeared from the transition channel. After this spherical warship appeared, the transition channel behind it was closed. Obviously, this transition channel is what it provides. And at the moment when this spherical warship appeared, a pulse force field that was very familiar to the Tower Division was startled and began to spread. Superluminal neutron pulse interference. Neutron battle star. This is also a neutron war star. And looking at the diameter, it is bigger than the destroyer's neutron battle star. Siltier Towers was a little surprised, but soon recovered. A neutron battle star, so what? It's just offsetting part of my neutron battle star advantage. Even with my destroyer battleship alone, it is enough to destroy all of you. Siltier Towers remains confident. However, the next moment, the other 3 identical neutron war stars jumped out from the transition channels in the other 3 directions. Formed a situation of siege from all sides, directly surrounding the destroyer Wen's fleet, the Zerg, and the destroyer neutron battle star. The neutron pulse interference jointly released by the 4 neutron war stars instantly covered the past with the neutron pulse interference of the destroyer neutron war star. In an instant, the battleships of all destroyer civilizations were suppressed by the terrifying speed of light. All their weapon speeds and battleship speeds were suppressed below the speed of light. Those Zerg are no exception. The destroyer's neutron war star suppressed them at the speed of light, and the neutron war star on the Milky Way side suppressed them even more at the speed of light. And on one side of the Milky Way, there are 4 full neutron battle stars. This time, the Silti Tower can't hold back at all. 4 neutron battle stars. How is this possible? You are just a civilization of the Milky Way, Li Ma Jiao. How can you have 4 neutron battle stars? 4 neutron war stars appeared on the battlefield, and the psychological defense line of Siltier Towers was destroyed in an instant. No one knew the horror of neutron war stars better than him. And now, the 4 neutron battle stars are surrounded by all sides, and the main guns above the 4 neutron battle stars, the directional neutrino pulse diffusion decomposition device, all began to prepare. The target is the neutron battle star of the destroyer civilization. In an instant, the main gun fired. There was no sound, not even a special movement. Facing the attack from 4 neutron war stars far stronger than himself, the neutron war star of the destroyer civilization with a diameter of 12 kilometers did not last long. In an instant, it began to decompose. The neutron star body wrapped by the special strong interaction outer armor of the neutron battle star gradually disintegrated and dissipated. 31%. Chapter 150 The Dark Forest Battlefield of Level 5 Civilization Subscription. The neutron star of Siltier Towers was the final line of defense for his destroyer fleet. Now, the 4 neutron battle star main guns of the Dakan Empire are fired together. In an instant, this powerful battle star was directly disintegrated. The neutron battle star is very strong, and this aspect refers to the auxiliary ability of the neutron battle star. After all, it has special neutron pulse interference, which can interfere with the enemy's superluminal capability. But he will not be disturbed, which is very powerful. In fact, one of the most important uses of the neutron battlestar is to provide interference range in the rear. It can be seen from the superluminal interference range that spans more than 120 light-years. 120 light-years. This is a very wide area, not called a battlefield, but called a war zone. There are usually multiple battlefields within a theater. Civilizations above level 5 mainly place the neutron battlestar behind the entire theater. Superluminal jamming of enemy fleets across countless battlefields across the theater. Moreover, the most taboo thing about neutron battlestar is to face with the enemy's neutron battlestar. Because in terms of weapons alone, whether it is the enemy or our neutron star, they all have the ability to destroy the opponent with one blow. The so-called king to king, adversary to the general. Just like the checkmate in chess, the coach can't meet 547 faces. Once they meet, it means the end. And now, the four, handsome, of the Dakan Empire are directly facing a general of the destroyer civilization. The results speak for themselves. Discovery is both destroyed. The destroyer civilization's neutron battlestar was instantly destroyed. And the 4 neutron battlestars of the Dakan Empire have become the most terrifying weapons in this galaxy. It is also for this reason that the neutron battlestars of the 5th level civilization and above are pursuing extremely powerful stealth capabilities. Strive to be the first to discover the opponent's neutron battlestar before you are discovered by the opponent's neutron battlestar. Therefore, when it comes to the war between the 5th level civilization, Qin Sheng guessed just Qin Sheng's guess. Qin Sheng has not seen the real 5th level civilization war. Qin Sheng guessed that the war between the 5th level civilization has been upgraded to an information war. Just like the neutron battlestar, both sides have powerful weapons that can destroy the enemy in an instant. Therefore, both sides will do their best to hide their tracks, look for the enemy, and destroy the enemy before the enemy finds himself. This kind of war is terrifying. At that time, the war zone will be transformed into a real dark forest. In this dark forest in space, when encountering a fleet that may be a friendly fleet, because of this criterion, they would not dare to contact the other party, nor would they dare to confirm the other party's identity. It was even said that because of this situation, the identity of the other party could not be identified, and the other party was directly eliminated. After the elimination, it was discovered that the other party was actually an allied army. The neutron battlestar of the Siltier Tower was resolved in an instant, which made the Siltier Tower unacceptable. Look at the 4 formidable neutron battlestars that the enemy is making great fanfare. For the first time in so many years, Sylvia was shaken in his heart. The year of retreat was born. But in an instant, he was rejected by himself. Only cowards will retreat. A true hero, even if he knows that he is invincible, will launch a fierce charge against the opponent without fear of death. Only by dying brazenly in the midst of the charge can we gain the favor of my god Korn. Siltier Towers roared. Korn warriors. Attack the enemy. Control the 4 neutron war stars. Following the final order, all the destroyer battleships, including those that were still fighting with the Zerg, immediately abandoned the Zerg who were fighting with themselves. Turning around, accelerating the engine with all his strength, at an infinitely close to the speed of light, he frantically charged towards the 4 neutron war stars of the Dakan Empire. This is their last hope of winning. Launch the supreme jump gang to the ABFC neutron battlestar of the Great Qin Empire. Take control of those neutron war stars and turn the tide of battle. In the galaxy, tens of millions of destroyer battleships all charge towards the neutron battlestar at the same time. Their engine speed is squeezed to the limit. But due to the suppression of the neutron war star, they were unable to start the curvature engine. Can't even turn on the warp engine. They're getting close. All units, free fire. Meet the enemy. 1. The Galactic Combined Fleet, the fleet of the Hero Nation, was the first to charge ahead and started the battle. In an instant, all kinds of weapons that could illuminate the entire galaxy began to exert their power. In the starry sky in this area, all kinds of weapons released their splendor. In addition to the fleet of the Dakan Empire, the other 4 battleships of the 4th level peak civilization are weaker than the destroyer civilization in terms of strength and firepower. The combat power of a Hero Nation warship is only about 80% of that of a destroyer civilization warship. However, the neutron battlestar of the Dakan Empire is here. Under the influence of super light, the owner wind speed is not the emitted light, but the speed of light. Under this influence, the hero fleet, which took the lead to meet the enemy, directly gained the upper hand in the first wave of counter-shooting. And at this time, Qin Sheng gave an order. North Weiyang Fleet, Iron Curtain Starfleet, outflank from the flank. Don't let them run away. Pioneer the civilized fleet. To block the Zerg, don't let them attack. The fleet of the headquarters of the Dakan Empire will stay behind the neutron battlestar for defense. Qin Sheng made the above deployment. Although before, the Zerg and the destroyer civilization fought inextricably. But now, after the combined galactic fleet, especially the neutron battlestar, there is a stop between the destroyer civilization and the Zerg. Invariably began to attack the galactic combined fleet. After all, they are invaders to the galaxy. It has to be said that the battlefield situation is changing. On the frontal battlefield, the hero military fleet is responsible for facing the enemy head-on. Beiweiyang Galaxy Fleet and Iron Curtain Starfleet are responsible for flanking. The Pioneer Civilization is responsible for dealing with the Zerg. Speaking of which, Pioneering Civilization has developed a variety of superb artificial intelligence machines because of its passion for construction. The number of these artificial intelligence machines is also extremely large. And its own strength is also very high. With a little modification, it can be used in war. The war between the pioneers and the Zerg is the Sea of Worms against the Sea of Machines. The scene is also very spectacular. 31%. Chapter 151 Let the Zerg Queen Hate Itching Teeth subscription. The battle scene within the galaxy is extremely grand and intense. Even the distance between some of the advanced battleships of the Hero Kingdom and the destroyer battleship at the forefront was already less than 3 million kilometers, a mere 10 light-second distance. The battle was extremely fierce. But everyone can see that the Galactic Alliance with 4 neutron battlestars has the absolute upper hand. If there is no neutron battlestar, then the other 4 fourth-level peak civilizations may have to go together to barely draw with the Zerg. But under the blessing of the neutron battlestar, a pioneer civilization directly blocked the attack of the Zerg. And this also made the Zerg Queen itch with hatred. If placed on other battlefields, such a mere 4th-level peak civilization would naturally be impossible to stop the attack of her proud Zerg. But here, damn, can't travel faster than light, and can't jump away using artificial curvature warps. I am completely trapped in this galaxy. Children, attack, devour them. The Zerg Queen was extremely anxious in her heart, and could only order the brainworms of the entire galaxy to launch an attack. After all, the super light method was interfered, and the Zerg Queen could not directly command the grassroots Zerg units in the vast space area, and could only issue orders to the brainworms in a certain area. Then the brainworm executes it itself. But this kind of command is inefficient. How could it compare to her own command of all the grassroots Zerg units? In this case, the Zerg Queen began to try to contact the Siltier Towers who had killed her before. Let's see if there is any way to break the situation, such as the Corn Tower Division. But the super light communication method was interfered, and for a while, the Zerg Queen couldn't contact the Siltier Tower Division at all. At this time, the Silti Tower Division was also very summoned. On the frontal battlefield, the destroyer fleet, which had lost the blessing of the neutron battlestar, could not even break through the defense line of the Hero military fleet. In addition to the Hero military kingdom, the northern galaxy Weiyang and the fleet of the Iron Curtain Star civilization are flanking them. Soon, the Siltier Towers and many destroyer battleships will be completely surrounded, and then they will die without a place to be buried. Siltier Towers didn't want to die so suffocated. At this time, another thought began to take advantage of the emptiness. In fact, it's not just the Zerg Queen and Sylvia who are anxious in their hearts. There is also a 4th-level peak Tzeentch demon like Tataros. The current Tataros is still very weak, unable to fully descend into the real universe. He can only hide in the warp to see the anxious situation in this galaxy. Damn it, the Qin Empire is so strong. Having 4 neutron battlestars, this is something I could not fully expect. Where did the damn Qin Empire have the ability to get so many neutron battlestars? How did they make them? Tartarus was furious in his heart. I can't figure out why the Qin Empire has 4 neutron battlestars. Although the technology used by neutron battlestar, in principle, is the technology that can be possessed by the 4th-level peak civilization. However, its manufacturing method is basically only a 5th-level civilization can manufacture. The destroyer civilization is also not capable of producing neutron war stars. They were neutron war stars found in the ruins of a civilization during the expedition of the Large Magellanic Cloud. It was then repaired and used on the battlefield. Tataros was extremely puzzled. Where did the neutron battlestar of the Dakan Empire come from? And this, we have to talk about the former galaxy's Tzeentch god chosen, who is the same as Tatalos, the 5th level Tzeentch demon, who is trapped in the cage of 4-dimensional space. What Tatalos didn't know was that it was Baidao, who was also the great demon of Tzeentch, who gave the Dakan Empire such a thing as a 3-dimensional printer of microcosmic particles in order to escape from the 4-dimensional space. As a result, the Dakan Empire has the ability to rapidly manufacture neutron war stars. Fundamentally speaking, it was Bo Dao, who was also the great demon of Tzeentch, who trapped Tartarus. Presumably, if Tataros can know the truth one day, I don't know how speechless it will be. As long as I don't destroy the great Qin Empire, then I will never be able to control the Milky Way. Become the new galactic god of choice. Thinking of this, the Tataros bird pecked up and down and bit, as if to make a decision. Take out a box. The box smells of decay everywhere. This is what he obtained 20 million years ago in a relic in a companion galaxy outside the Milky Way. From the interpretation of breath and matter, what is closed in this box is the stuff of Nurgle, the evil god Nurgle. Moreover, the aura emanating from the things hidden in this box, Tataros can feel, its position is far higher than his 4th level peak Tzeentch great demon. To be honest, Tartaros doesn't know what's inside, but Nurgle's things are nothing more than viruses, plagues and the like. This thing, one of which is used as a treasure at the bottom of the press box, was collected by Tartarus. Now, use it. 1. It must be here to destroy the Qin Empire. As soon as Tataros gritted his teeth, he would use his few strengths to send the box out of the subspace. It was delivered to the Siltier Tower Division. In the entire space, at the front-end frontal battlefield, the destroyer fleet and the hero military fleet are fighting fiercely. The battle was extremely fierce. Moreover, the fleet of the Hero Kingdom has the support of the Northern Galaxy Weiyang and the Iron Curtain Star Civilization fleet. It is more and more courageous. If it goes on like this, it's only a matter of time before the destroyer loses. However, at this time, the front-end battlefield, which had been extremely warm and radiant, suddenly became quiet. All kinds of light spears, antimatter missiles, sub-light-speed electromagnetic kinetic energy shells and other various weapons flashed the last rays of light. Calmed down. The nearly 10 million warships of the hero nation suddenly stopped their power and were suspended in space, motionless. The front line of the entire battlefield fell into an incomparably strange silence. Qin Sheng naturally noticed this situation and was stunned for a moment. What happened? Pill. 31%. Chapter 152 Bizarre. Trillions of people died at the same time. Subscription. Hero Head. 1 inch. Group Finance. Qin Sheng immediately sent them a newsletter asking about the situation. However, no response was received. From the optical detection, it also showed that all the Galactic Coalition fleets ahead were silent in space. There is no action. It was as if the huge number of warships were suddenly empty. Countless ships are suspended in space. Even some destroyer ships are included. The battlefield that had been extremely noisy suddenly turned into a dead silence at this moment. What happened? Qin Sheng was extremely puzzled. At this time, a message came from the fleet in Weiyang of the Northern Galaxy. Your Majesty, something unexpected happened just now. In the fleet I was in, all the crew members except me died in an instant. The sender was the captain of a certain, May 47 inches battleship in the Weiyang fleet of the Northern Galaxy. What? Qin Sheng was stunned for a moment, and said, have you encountered an attack by an infrasound weapon? This kind of effect that does not damage the warship and only kills people is an infrasound weapon. No, not infrasonic weapons, I'm pretty sure none of them hit my ship. Except for me, all the people on the battleship lost consciousness and fell to the ground, and they were all brain dead. But strangely, none of them had any surface damage. Hearing this answer, Qin Sheng pondered, and then asked, is there any other abnormal situation? Or, are you different from the other dead sailors? A different place. I'm not of the same race as the crew on the battleship I'm on, does that count? There was deep fear in the captain's tone, and he answered uneasy. Northern Galaxy Weiyang Civilization is a capital group civilization. It is composed of multiple 4-level civilizations. There are many species of creatures within civilizations. This captain is the Luoluogili civilization in the Northern Galaxy Weiyang group, while the other members of the battleship are members of another race. Could it be a genetic weapon against the race? Qin Sheng was lost in thought. No, it shouldn't. The destroyer civilization on the other side clearly believes in corn, and they can't have such means. Moreover, it is very troublesome to develop genetic weapons for a certain race, and it must be prepared in advance. Not to mention, in an instant, a genetic weapon that could wipe out the entire fleet of the Hero Kingdom, the Iron Curtain Starry Sky, and the Weiyang Northern Galaxy could appear in an instant. But this effect should be some kind of viral weapon against the human body. But which one is exactly, Qin Sheng is unknown. In an instant, the previously noisy galaxy suddenly fell silent. The Zerg Queen seemed to sense something, and frantically ordered the Zerg to retreat. And the Destroyer Civilization's fleet, like the fleet on the front line, seems to have fallen silent. Even the Silti Tower division was silent in the space, and seemed to fall into a state of unconsciousness for a while. The inexplicable signs just now seemed to have a range. The main scope is the main fleet of the Galactic Coalition, the Neutron Battlestar, and the Destroyer Civilization fleet. The Zerg side blocked them back because of the Pioneering Civilization, and it seemed that they were not affected. The Pioneering Civilization has not been affected. There is no other way. Qin Sheng can only order the Pioneers of Civilized retreat. After that, they began to leave the galaxy with the help of the transition channel opened by the Neutron War Star. In the entire galaxy, there are only all the battleships of the Dakan Empire that are still active, except for the Zerg that are far away from this area. It stands to reason that I'm also within this range, but neither I nor the silicon-based tactical dolls under my command have been affected. It has to be probed and cleared. The war stopped inexplicably. Qin Sheng began to send warships to approach the group of silent warships suspended in the entire space at the front line to investigate the situation. Hero's military fleet, flagship, Supreme Victory. Next to this gigantic warship, which is 37 kilometers long, 12 kilometers wide, and 8 kilometers high, is a Dakan Empire exploration warship. The interface channel was connected, and the Jellyfish Girl warriors entered the battleship. In the passage of the battleship, Hero soldiers in power armors were lying on the ground. There was no damage to the power armor outside their bodies. There are no scars on the body. But they are all brain dead. Supreme Victory, bridge. The head of Hero was sitting on the command position of the bridge, leaning to the side. His eyes were still wide open, as if he had been directing the battle before he died, and he didn't even notice that death was coming. A jellyfish girl used her portable equipment for testing, and then said, "Your Majesty, the head of Hero has been confirmed to be brain dead, and the same method of death as the 2 million officers, soldiers, and technicians of all levels on this warship." Quote. In the Weiyang Civilization fleet, the Jellyfish Girl warriors found the captain who talked to them before. But unfortunately, he also died mysteriously in the end. The Iron Curtain Star fleet, likewise, was brain dead. Even the Chaos Warriors of the Destroyer. In the previous battle, some of the Chaos Warriors managed to break through the firepower network of the Iron Curtain Star fleet and successfully penetrated into the interior of the battleship. But these Chaos Warriors fell to the ground and died just like the soldiers of the Iron Curtain Starry Sky. Not only the fleets on the front line, but also some of the civilizations in the rear, and the fleets protecting the Neutron Battle Star. All the personnel in the fleet died instantly at the same moment. Only among the fleets of the Northern Galaxy Weiyang Civilization, there are many races, and they die a little slower. But it is still inevitable to step into the footsteps of the frontline fleet. And the battleships of the Dakan Empire began to approach the millions of destroyer battleships that were silent in space. Go to explore. The result, still the same. Even the destroyer himself, and all the Chaos Warriors, were all brain dead, including the Corn Great Demon himself, Siltier Towers. The huge body that was 100 kilometers long floated in space, motionless, dead silent, and cold. Already dead. 5 hours later, the investigation results have come out. In addition to the Dakan Empire and the pioneers who have retreated, and the Zerg who are far from 5.2 in this area, including the destroyer, all the fleet personnel of the 3 4th level peak civilizations, including the destroyer, the Shaluo military kingdom, the Northern Galaxy Weiyang, and the Iron Curtain Starry Sky, all died. 3. The fleet of the 4th level peak civilization, the total number of battleships exceeds 40 million. More than 200 billion people and soldiers of all kinds died in an instant. There are no scars on the body surface. What exactly happened? Qin Sheng was puzzled. At this moment, a superluminal Tachyon communication came over. Your Majesty, when one of our fleets was on a routine patrol mission, they passed through the homeworld of the Hero Kingdom. 1. Anomalies found. The entire Hero Kingdom's home planet, with a population of 1.2 trillion, died 5 hours ago at the same minute and second of standard time. The 1.2 trillion population of the Hero Kingdom's home planet, all of them, died at the same time. Qin Sheng suddenly widened his eyes. 31%. Chapter 153. The First God of Music in the Warp Space, Zinch Subscription. Qin Sheng immediately issued an order. Order all the warships of the Qin Empire in the galaxy to immediately go to the Shaluo military country, the northern galaxy Weiyang, the rest of the Iron Curtain starry sky, and all life planets to conduct exploration, including the various planets of the pioneering civilization. After the investigation is completed, report the results to me. After the order was issued, the other Dakan Empire squadrons distributed throughout the galaxy immediately began to act. Within the next 10 days, Tachyon communications from all over the Milky Way continued to reach Qin Sheng. The result is there. Qin Sheng looked at the various reports displayed on the virtual screen in front of him with a calm expression. The Hero Kingdom has a territory of 10,700 light-years in diameter. Colony, life planet, 71,200. The total population, 217 trillion. No one survived. All planets, all populations, according to inspection, all at the same time, all brain dead. The Iron Curtain starry sky has a territory of 2,137 light-years in diameter. Colony, life planet, 1,200. The total population, 113 trillion. No one survived. Beijing 01 Huiyang Group, with a territory of 90,120 light-years in diameter. 1. All the colonies that joined the civilization, the life planet, 55,200. The population of all joining civilizations is 167 trillion. Among them, there were 56.9 trillion people from the Weiyang headquarters who sent fleets to participate in the war, and no one survived. There are 21 trillion and 8 million people from the Luoluogia civilization who sent the fleet to participate in the war, and no one has survived. Arsenal Day civilization, 41 trillion people, no one survived. The rest of the northern galaxy Weiyang 6 joined civilizations that did not send fleets to join the war, with a total population of 669.92 billion people, survived without any abnormality. The pioneer civilization, with the exception of the population killed in the war, did not suffer from this special influence. Qin Sheng took a deep breath. I just felt terrible horror. What kind of weapon is it that can destroy the population of all the frontline fleets, together with the population of all civilizations that have joined the war in the entire galaxy? The Milky Way is 100,000 light-years in diameter. And the 3/4 level peak civilizations, all the populations add up, more than 3 trillion billion. 3 trillion people, different civilizations and races, all died at the same time, in the same way, at the same time, in the vast galaxy spanning 100,000 light-years. At this moment, Yi Shuang's communication called. Qin Sheng connected. Your Majesty, I think, I have found the reason. Yi Shuang's delicate face with a serious look appeared in front of Qin Sheng. What reason? Qin Sheng asked immediately. It's a 6th level thought plague. 1. Yi Shuang said this sentence with a very serious expression. 6th level thinking plague. Qin Sheng's eyes widened. This was the first time he heard the word. Yes, Your Majesty the Emperor, I have carefully studied the dead human corpses of various races, as well as the brains of various races. Found some clues. They all died because of the instantly shattered stencil of thought. According to Yi Shuang, the soldiers of the frontline fleet of the Hero Army and the Chaos Warriors of the Destroyer were the first to die. They were the first to come into contact with the thinking plague. Without the slightest awareness of them, this plague, which only began to spread in their minds, entered their minds. Then, the ideological stencils portrayed in the moral standard benchmarking system linking the entire race instantly launched a thought attack on the entire race's moral standard benchmarking system. The ethical benchmarking system is the most important thing in the 4th level civilization. This kind of ideological thing is polluted by the 4-dimensional plague, which leads to the death of all planets, colonies, and populations of the entire Hero Army regardless of location and distance. The initial spread of the ideological plague has a scope and is limited to the frontline battlefield. Therefore, a little further away, the pioneer civilization that resisted the attack of the Zerg was not contaminated. Evacuate directly under Qin Sheng's order, avoiding the danger of extinction of the entire civilization. And because this kind of thinking plague spreads along the civilized moral standard benchmarking system, there is no so-called moral standard benchmarking system at all in the Qin Empire. All tactical dolls, silicon-based girl warriors are loyal to Qin Sheng alone. Unite under the Emperor meme. So it doesn't matter. And the Chaos Warriors, their thinking is also highly consistent. believe in Korn. This fanatical belief has also become the target of the plague of thinking. Therefore, they also suffered the same fate. All the Chaos Warriors of the Destroyer civilization, including the Korn Great Demon Sir Titus, died. Even the speed of death and the strong effect are even more powerful than civilizations such as the Hero Kingdom. Therefore, it is better to say that this kind of thinking plague specifically attacks them based on their belief characteristics. Qin Sheng understood completely. This is the plague of Nurgle. If you have to assign a grade to this thinking plague, it is equivalent to a 6th level civilization. 6th level thinking plague. Thinking specifically for higher civilizations. At this point, what can Qin Sheng do? Build them a tombstone. I didn't expect that the Hero Military Kingdom and the Iron Curtain Star Civilization, these two 4-level peak civilizations, would be completely wiped out in this way. Because Northern Galaxy Weiyang is a multi-ethnic capital group civilization, some civilizations did not participate in the war, and the ideological seal is different from other joined civilizations. Many civilizations have survived. Qin Sheng at this moment can be considered to have thoroughly experienced the 547 power of the thinking plague. This kind of thinking plague is a kind of logic and causal weapon of the 6th level civilization. At this moment, what Qin Sheng didn't know was that a war broke out in the vast warp of chaos. Nurgle, the Queen of Blood, the wife of Korn, the sword-wielding Valkyrie of the Blood God, the voice of Valkyria's wrath spread throughout the warp. In an instant, the entire warp chaos began to vibrate. Blood Queen Valkyria was attacked by the plague of Nurgle's mind. In fact, it wasn't just her who was attacked. In the warp, many Korn demons with insufficient strength died instantly. The number is more than 1 trillion. Valkyria, known as the wife of Korn, in the name of the blood god Korn, angrily launched a war of gods against Nurgle in the warp. And the number 1 under Nurgle's seat, the great demon, the great unclean one, and the father of plague, Kukas, was somewhat inexplicably confronted. The 4th level peak Tzeentch great demon Tataros shivered and hid his body in the warp. He didn't want people to know that it was he who released the plague of thinking. However, what Tartarus didn't know was that deep in the warp, Tzeentch was the first great demon. The Oracle of Tzeentch, the Guardian of Fate, the Mocker of Fate, the Weaver of Fate. Carlos was standing on Tzeentch's shoulder, his bizarre-colored feathers were shining, and the 2 bird heads were exuding wanton mockery. Undoubtedly, the real driving force behind this whole thing is him. Even his own people are calculating, just to watch this fun, as expected of you, Tzeentch. 32%. Chapter 154. Use the entire planet to build a tombstone. Zerg at the end of the road. Subscribe. What is most important to Tzeentch? The sphere of influence in the universe? Or the number of your own believers? No, none of this matters. Tzeentch didn't care about that at all. For Tzeentch, who has many titles, such as Messenger of Hope, Weaver of Destiny, Strategist of Deception, Supreme Eagle, Lord of Devious Ways, and Heavenly Venerable Clear Treasure. Pleasure is Tzeentch's favorite thing. Tzeentch likes to calculate everything. I like to see a certain person, or a certain god, under his calculation, step by step into the abyss arranged by himself. However, if an accident occurs in the script, arranged by oneself, a variable will appear. Tzeentch was even happier. He would be immensely delighted by such a sudden change. He will be happy with an existence that can break his own strategy, and then happily continue to design the next conspiracy. For Tzeentch, there is nothing in this world that he can fear. Only in the endless calculations to pursue those shoe variables can make him feel happy. And the above-mentioned special designs can also be applied to most Tzeentch great demons. Especially Tzeentch's Oracle. 6th level Tzeentch great demon, Carlos. 20 million years ago, Carlos stole the mind plague from the great demon of Nurgle, Kukas the Great Unclean, and placed in a companion galaxy outside the Milky Way, guiding the 4th level Tetonch archer Tataros to obtain it. Then, just waiting for the time when my hand can be useful. Tzeentch's targets have always been Korn and Nurgle. The plan 20 million years in advance was finally fulfilled here in the Milky Way. The plague of thought began to spread to the warp through Korn's great demon, Sirier Towers. Killed trillions of Korn demons in the warp, and cannot be resurrected. In this way, Carlos provoked a war between Korn and Nurgle in the warp. As for the war in the real universe galaxy, Carlos didn't care at all. He didn't take any civilizations including the Dakan Empire into his eyes at all. In Carlos' view, the civilizations in the Milky Way are just little sparks that ignite this war. Of course, this Mars is also very important, but Mars can be found everywhere, not necessarily an established civilization. Therefore, the Great Qin Empire was just a trivial civilization that appeared at this time. After all, you light a fire and it burns. Do you care how the molecules of the fire you light are made of? Won't. In the galaxy, Qin Sheng can be considered to have investigated and cleared the cause of the complete extinction of the Hero Kingdom and the Iron Curtain Star civilization. It is also known that the plague of thinking has receded and will no longer spread. Siltier Towers was self-sufficient, but was killed by the plague of thinking. However, there are still Zerg unsolved. Trillions of billions of Zerg are trapped in this galaxy. For the past 10 days, the Zerg Queen has been escaping out of the galaxy at an infinitely close to the speed of light. But, how far can you run out in 10 days? Under the superluminal interference of the neutron battle star, the Zerg couldn't run far at all. This is why Qin Sheng first went to investigate the reasons for the extinction of the Hero Kingdom and the Iron Curtain Star civilization, and did not take care of the Zerg for the first time. Now that Qin Sheng has learned the reason, he just sighs a little, that the two peak civilizations of Hero and Iron Curtain Starry Sky were so easily and completely perished. Especially the Iron Curtain Star civilization. The Iron Curtain Star civilization fled to the Milky Way thousands of years ago because of the Destroyer civilization. Unexpectedly, they still did not avoid the end of being extinct. You perished in war by my command, so I must do something. 1. Qin Sheng sighed slightly, and the Emperor Battle Star approached a planet in the galaxy. This planet was occupied by the Zerg before, and now all the Zerg have retreated and are fleeing out of the galaxy. Qin Sheng left the Emperor Battle Star himself, his body in full black armor suspended in space. Staring at the planet in front of him, Qin Sheng waved his right hand lightly. A vast, majestic spiritual energy instantly covered the 6,000-kilometer diameter planet in front of him. With the fast-moving thinking of strong intelligence, Qin Sheng began to calculate all the atomic arrangements of this planet. Then, start breaking it down with your increasingly powerful psionic powers. Under the gaze of Qin Sheng's eyes, this huge planet with a diameter of 6,000 kilometers began to gradually disintegrate. A large amount of rubble and other substances that cracked out further dissipated in space into a large number of elementary atoms. Subsequently, Qin Sheng's strong intelligent thinking continued to calculate. His right hand controlled the basic atoms of the planet, and his left hand began to construct in space. A moment later, a huge alloy tombstone 10,000 kilometers high and 1,000 kilometers thick was constructed in space. On the tombstone, Qin Sheng used his psionic energy to engrave 200 billion names in an instant. This is what Qin Sheng found through the databases of major civilizations, and the names of all the personnel on this expedition. They are written in the characters of Hero Military Kingdom, Iron Curtain Starry Sky, Weiyang Headquarters Civilization of Weiyang Group of Northern Galaxy, Luoluojili Civilization and Arsenal Day Civilization respectively. Without the slightest mistake, everyone in the fleet, even if it is only the name of the lowest fleet maintenance personnel, also appeared above. Finally, at the very bottom of the tombstone, Qin Sheng inscribed a sentence with psionic energy, Li Ma Jiao, in the languages of multiple civilizations, including Chinese, commemorating the 200 billion galaxy soldiers who sacrificed in this great war to defend the Milky Way, the Great Qin Empire, Emperor Li. And after Qin Sheng had done all this, he was suspended in space and heaved a sigh of relief. At this time, Chi Peier's voice sounded, "Your Majesty, we have successfully intercepted the Zerg Queen. 259.2 billion kilometers are extravagant. The dense swarms gathered together like the ocean. In the surrounding space, 4 neutron battle stars and nearly 10 million Dakan Empire battleships surrounded these swarms. Damn, what should I do now?" The Zerg Queen was a little panicked. Now, she is undoubtedly on a dead end. The end of the road. 32%. Chapter 155. The Zerg Queen surrenders and obtains a huge amount of technical value subscription. The battleship of the Zerg Queen is a battle star with a diameter of 2,000 kilometers. This battle star is different from ordinary battle stars. It is made up of countless special Zerg gathered together. These battle stars, gathered by countless ordinary Zerg, have combat capabilities that exceed those of real battle stars. And when necessary, it can be completely separated and differentiated into countless swarms. But now, this Zerg battle star is surrounded by the Dakan Empire together with the endless Zerg that form the ocean in space. Qin Sheng looked directly at the race star and sent a message to the other party. Submit, or destroy. 2 choices were placed in front of the Zerg Queen. Surrender or destroy. The Zerg Queen did not hesitate. Choose to surrender. Everything the Zerg so-called is for survival. Temporary surrender. There is nothing bad, and there is no psychological burden. Moreover, the Zerg Queen is thinking about it. The particularity of the Zerg led to that, if she did not encounter other higher worm swarms, then only she could truly control the swarm. She could surrender openly, and then, the Zerg Queen thought to herself. Then, the Zerg Queen saw that the Dakan Empire was encircling her Zerg swarm in batches. The vast ocean-like insect swarm was surrounded in batches and divided into parts. But she saw at 5:50 that a battleship of the Dakan Empire fired a particle of light towards a part of the swarm. That particle of light was so dazzling in the dark space. Approach those swarms faster than the speed of light. To completely destroy the swarm except me. To avoid my deceitful surrender. To completely disintegrate my swarm force. 1. The Zerg Queen's thinking is fast and active, guessing. But then something like a sneer appeared in her heart. Madness. Even at this moment, what if you wiped out all the trillions of worms? As long as I am alive, sooner or later I will be able to make a comeback. The Zerg Queen sneered, watching her swarm be destroyed. The particle of light stopped in a swarm of about 10 trillion insects. Then it exploded. A wave invisible to the naked eye quickly spread around. The next moment, the Zerg Queen lost the control of the 10 trillion Zerg. But, those Zerg weren't destroyed. But everything has changed. Start silicon-based, mechanized. What? ABFC, what kind of means is this? How can that be? The 10 trillion Zerg were intact and completely out of her control, which shocked the Zerg Queen so much that she felt very terrified. Damn it. The Zerg Queen is in a hurry. However, one silicon-based conversion bomb after another has been launched to the corresponding swarm. After the Dodger's volatility spread. Except for the Zerg battle star where the Zerg Queen is located, all the Zerg swarms have been transformed into mechanical Zerg that have no self-consciousness and are free from the control of the brain worm and the Queen. Hundreds of trillions of mechanical Zerg. At this time, a particle of light that was different from the previous one, flashing blue light, was launched towards the Zerg battle star. The Zerg Queen was in a hurry and wanted to send out bugs to intercept it. However, most of the Zerg battle stars are cerebral worms. Although there are many ordinary Zerg, worker bees, Zerglings and the like, but under the suppression of the neutron battle star, none of them can surpass the speed of light. Achieve the purpose of interception. The particle of light finally hit the Zerg battle star. An azure light flashed by in an instant. This particle of light is different from the previous silicon-based transformation bomb, which is an iron core assimilation bomb with the Emperor meme. After the iron core assimilation bullet flashed by. Activate the same effect as the assimilation of the iron heart of the tactical humanoid girl race. The Zerg Queen wailed, and then the huge body began to transform and shrink. The other brain worms also changed. Gradually, she turned into a beautiful girl without a trace. After the transformation, the body was covered with a little carapace, covering the body, but it couldn't cover the slender outline. Your Majesty the Emperor. The mechanical queen opened her eyes and sent a message to Qin Sheng respectfully. Qin Sheng nodded with satisfaction. Very good. The mechanical Zerg has completely joined the battle sequence of the Dakan Empire. From now on, the Dakan Empire will be able to continuously produce mechanical Zerg like Zerg. In the future, the Qin Empire will have a steady stream of powerful cannon fodder that can be used. After conquering the Zerg, Qin Sheng began to deal with the unmanned battleships scattered throughout the galaxy. Hero Military Kingdom, Iron Curtain Starry Sky, and Northern Galaxy Weiyang, these three together, more than 40 million warships, all silent in space. More than 90% of the battleships are basically intact. There are also the battleships of the destroyer civilization, and there are millions of them. They are all suspended together, silent in space, forming a vast great wall of battleships in space, the ocean. Qin Sheng began to recover these warships. Not only destroying battleships, but also recovering battleships can gain technical points. You recovered the cruiser of the hero nation and gained 200,000 technical value. You recovered the battleship of the Iron Curtain Starry Sky civilization and obtained 500,000 technical points. You recovered the destroyer of the Weiyang headquarters of the Northern Galaxy, and obtained a technical value of 110,000. This time the warship is recovered, and a total of 9 trillion technical points have been obtained. 10,000 times increase. Congratulations on getting the technical value. 90,000 trillion points. Aside from a ton of technical value, Qin Sheng doesn't get anything better. The technical value is also good. 1 inch. It's also time to save a wave of technical value. The Dakan Empire is still at the peak of its 4th level civilization. It is a pity for Qin Sheng that after he recovered Korn's battleship, he could not obtain any technology. Because those battleship technologies have been contaminated by Korn and cannot be used. There's also just a lot of tech value and some chaos destruction credentials. There are only a few 100 million chaos destruction credentials. After 10,000 times the increase, Qin Sheng obtained 1 trillion chaos destruction certificates. After all, the existing destroyer battleships, as well as a large number of chaos warriors, were all killed by the 4-dimensional plague, not Qin Sheng. And the chaos destruction certificate is useless to the current Qin Sheng, at least in the Milky Way. Because the Judgment Vatican exchange in the Milky Way cannot exchange technologies above level 5. If you want to exchange technology of level 5 or above, you must go to the civilization headquarters of the Holy See to exchange. And the Holy See of Judgment is a real 6th level civilization, and the civilization headquarters of the Holy See of Judgment is not in the Milky Way. 32%. Chapter 156 Sow the Seeds of Life and Revive Civilization Subscription. 80% of the battleships of various civilizations in the galaxy were recovered by Qin Sheng. About 8 million battleships remain. For the rest of these battleships, Qin Sheng was not ready to move. Most of these battleships are the remaining battleships of the hero army. Although the heroic empire has perished, Qin Sheng is ready to resow the seeds of their civilization. The entire population of the hero army died, and it was considered extinct. However, the hero military kingdom had long expected this. After all, a civilization cannot exist forever, and there will always be an unexpected day. Therefore, the hero military state has prepared a large number of civilization gene seed banks. Just in case there is an accident in civilization that day. However, the people of the hero army never imagined that they would be completely wiped out in this situation. In this case, Qin Sheng is ready to help them. The home planet of the hero kingdom, in the Persian arm of the Milky Way. It is not far from the Orion Cantilever where the Earth is located, 2,000 light years away. The home planet of the hero kingdom is a terrestrial planet with a diameter of 15,000 kilometers. Similar to Earth. After the hero kingdom became a 3rd-level civilization and could swim in the Milky Way, their entire population migrated from their home planet. In order to restore the perfect ecological environment of the parent star from the destruction of the previous industrial age. In the name of the ancestral planet, the hero people protected and enshrined the mother planet. It is forbidden for anyone to step in and develop. After tens of thousands of years of recovery. Today, the home planet of the hero kingdom has completely restored its perfect ecological environment. Under the intentional actions of the hero people, the hero planet has no trace of artificial development. And now, a fleet of the great Qin Empire has come to the home planet of Shiro. Outside the home planet of Hero, a large number of unmanned low Earth orbit defense weapons are suspended in low Earth orbit. Countless. Above these dense low Earth orbit defense space stations, countless defense weapons have been silent at this moment. They lost their personnel control, and the AI responsible for the control was also in a dormant state. Because the attack of the thinking plague was too sudden, all the population of the hero army died at the same time. Naturally, they didn't have time to activate the dormant AI. Now, when the battleship of the Dakan Empire arrives, the first thing to do is to restart the AI of the Near-Earth Defense Orbital Space Station. Let it recontrol the weapon. And in the next unknown number of years, protect the planet from space meteorites that may be gravitated by the planet. After restarting the low Earth Orbit Defense Space Station, thousands of warships of the Great Qin Empire began to land on this planet. The huge battleship slowly sank into the atmosphere, and the friction of the airflow sent out a huge whistle, and countless flowing clouds flowed upward along the surface of the battleship. A virgin jungle and plain, bordered by rivers. The huge battleship slowly landed, pressing deep marks on the ground. The hatch is open. Inside the battleship, row after row of neatly arranged cultivation bins automatically retreated the nutrient solution. A humanoid, gray-skinned hero slowly opened his 3 eyes. He walked out of the cultivation warehouse a little ignorantly. At the open cabin door, the dazzling sunlight poured in, and the hero man raised his hand a little uncomfortable, blocking the sunlight that came in from the outside world. Then, holding on to the special molecular alloy wall, he walked out. He staggered off the bridge and set foot on land. With the soles of his feet stepping on the green and tender weeds, the attacker blocked the sunlight with his hands, and then looked up to the sky. Then he turned sideways, turned his head, and looked back. I saw that one after another with the same characteristics as him also walked down and gathered here. Yingying Chaocho, gathered in groups. Boom. At this moment, a huge sound came, and a strong, violent airflow surged. The hero people stabilized their bodies with their strong physical qualities, and then looked up. I saw that the incomparably huge, godlike object began to lift into the sky, and then became higher and higher. In the sky, there are still hundreds of thousands of objects that are breaking through the atmosphere and leaving this ship that is exactly like the creation of the gods. At this moment, the Shiro people still remembered this scene deeply with their ignorant consciousness. I remembered the special symbol on the battleship, the word, Qin, depicted in Shaozuan font. Qin Sheng's body was suspended in space, looking at the blue planet in front of him that was very similar to the Earth, but a little bigger. Looking at the battleship group that is all over the surface of the planet, breaking through the atmosphere and returning to space. Nodding slightly, the civilization of the hero people will continue on their ancient home planet. Qin Sheng used the hero's gene pool to newly cultivate millions of hero, go. As for how these heroes will survive on the planet, there is no need to worry. In the genes of the hero people, the spirit of bravery and survival has already penetrated deep into it and become their instinct. They will follow the history of civilization development, from the primitive tribe era, hunt for a living, and then redevelop step by step. And Qin Sheng did more than that. Under the planet Shiro, a giant engineering ship of the Qin Empire built an incomparably vast underground space. And store 100,000 heroes warships in it. In the future, the heroes who have redeveloped to a certain extent will be able to discover the 100,000 warships buried deep in the ground. And among these battleships, there is also a full set of technical data storages of the hero army. 0. It turns on whenever the hero gene is detected. After doing all this, Qin Sheng nodded slightly, then pushed his whole body with psionic energy, turned around and returned to the battleship. Qin Sheng believes that within 5,000 years, the hero people will surely be able to redevelop and then re-enter this starry sky. Everything that follows, there is no need for Qin Sheng to take care of it, let it take its course. After doing all this, all the battleships of the Dakan Empire left. Stop disturbing this galaxy, and several other civilizations that have been wiped out because of the plague of thinking. Then there is no need for the great Qin Empire to manage. The northern galaxy Weiyang civilization was formed by the joining of many civilizations. 3 civilizations have become extinct, and there are several other civilizations. They will be responsible for arranging the 3 extinct civilizations. And the Iron Curtain Star civilization. Qin Sheng couldn't control it either. Although the Iron Curtain has taken root in the Milky Way, they are not the original civilization of the Milky Way, but come from outside the Milky Way. And the biological structure of the Iron Curtain starry sky is special, and its appearance looks like a metal tower. They also have this special mind, under this special mind and body structure. All their technical data, all human and historical data, are stored in their own bodies. Under a special death agreement, once the creatures of the Iron Curtain Star civilization die, they will quickly disintegrate their corpses. Avoid enemies to get their corpses and then research. Under the circumstances of this characteristic, Qin Sheng naturally had no way of knowing everything behind the Iron Curtain Starry Sky civilization. There is no way at all to help them with recovery pills. 32%. Chapter 157. Prepare to leave the Milky Way, target 12 billion light years, subscribe. After placing the recultivated Shiro people on their ancient home planet and regrowing them, there is one more thing for Qin Sheng to solve. That is the remains of the heroes on the many colonized planets and life planets before the hero state. This is an incomparably huge amount. Must be properly accommodated. At this time, the pioneering civilization found Qin Sheng. The pioneering civilization hopes to hand over the remaining 71,200 life planets in the territory of the hero kingdom to them. Give it to you. Qin Sheng frowned and said, didn't I already give you the few million remaining battleships of the hero army as research revenge? Aren't those enough? Before Qin Sheng recovered the remaining battleships, there were 8 million ships. 100,000 of these 8 million warships, Qin Sheng buried them in the ground of the 550 star of Hero Mu, so that it could be discovered and used by the redeveloped hero civilization in the future. For the remaining millions of ships, Qin Sheng handed them over to Pioneer civilization as a reward. These battleships are enough to make up for the losses in the war before the pioneering civilization, and they still have some money to make. Facing Qin Sheng's question, the leader of the pioneers said, no, we didn't ask for all the life planets that were left by the hero army for profit. 1. Dealing with the remains of the Shiro on 71,200 planets is a very large undertaking. 7. Moreover, all the cities, buildings, facilities, factories, etc. on these 71,200 planets also need to be maintained. Emperor, you know that what our pioneer civilization is best at is construction and maintenance. We asked for these planets not for profit, but for the hero people. For the heroes, Qin Sheng asked. Yes, Emperor. The pioneer's electronic eyes flickered. Then, he began to tell a history. The hero military kingdom is a typical war-oriented civilization, when the former pioneer civilization was still weak. It is a vassal of the hero kingdom. Although the hero army is keen on war, they will not destroy the enemy regardless of who we are. For the pioneering civilization that actively attaches itself to them and is keen to build, the hero army welcomes them very much. After all, the pioneers who are keen on construction can just make up for the lack of economic construction in the hero civilization due to years of wars. Therefore, although the pioneer civilization is nominally a vassal of the hero military kingdom, the two are actually equal. The hero military state also relied on its own strong military strength to protect the pioneering civilization from extinction many times. In the past, the hero nation protected us, but now, the hero nation has been wiped out, and their descendants have reproduced and developed in the mother planet. Roles swapped. It's our turn to protect them. There is a color called emotion in the flickering electronic eyes of the pioneer leader. After we have taken over all the remaining 71,200 life planets in the hero army, we will not occupy a single bit, but will continue to send people to maintain them. The descendants of the hero people have redeveloped for 1,000 years and returned to the starry sky from their parent planets. Then we will maintain those planets for 1,000 years, and when they return, we will hand them over to them one by one. If they redevelop for 10,000 years, then we will maintain the construction and wait for them for 10,000 years. Whether it's 1,000 years, 10,000 years, or 100,000 years, we will wait for them, and then give them all their previous territories, complete and not bad for a planet. Emperor, I pioneer the entire civilization of the industry, and I can swear by the normative benchmark of our civilization's own moral system, and swear by the stencil of our thoughts. We will never take over any planet of the hero without permission. Hearing these words, Qin Sheng pondered for a while, then nodded and said with emotion, if that's the case, then I will trust you. Never betray my trust. 1. Emperor, thank you. The pioneer's electronic eyes flickered, and then the virtual projection disappeared, leaving only Qin Sheng on the bridge. The remaining 71,200 life planets in the territory of the hero military kingdom were handed over to the pioneer civilization for maintenance and management. These chores are handed over to other civilizations. Qin Sheng was able to start concentrating on integrating the fleet of the great Qin Empire. Qin Sheng, why didn't he want the remaining 71,200 life planets of the hero army? Because he couldn't use it at all, Qin Sheng was ready to lead the Dakan Empire and leave the galaxy. The ultimate goal is a coordinate location that Dihao gave him back then. It is 12 billion light-years away from the Milky Way, and is located at a coordinate point 0. At this coordinate location, there is a legacy left by Dihao. This is the legacy of the 6th level civilization. It's a big deal, and Qin Sheng has to get it anyway. This is the legacy of the 6th level civilization. A circular sphere creation was suspended in front of Qin Sheng, a virtual projection flickered, and a star map appeared. On the star map, countless flickering light points are like an ocean, forming a fibrous light body with many branches. This fibrous light body is the Great Wall system of Hercules Corona Borealis galaxies. This vast ocean-like light spot, each of which is a galaxy structure no less than the size of the Milky Way. More than 100 billion. The Hercules Northern Corona Galaxy Great Wall system. The longest branch line is 12 billion light-years long, and the short one is 7 billion light-years long. It's a huge wall of gigantic galactic structures. 1. However, in the universe, there are also a large number of such a huge galaxy structure Great Wall. Qin Sheng looked at the star map in front of him, which was shining like a vast ocean of light, and sighed with emotion. Calculate, with our current star system transition engine, how long does it take to reach a coordinate location 12 billion light-years away? As soon as Qin Sheng's words fell, Anbelia's voice sounded in his ears. Your Majesty, after calculation, 5.2 with the 5th level primary stellar system transition engine we currently possess, in order to span a distance of 12 billion light-years, we need to constantly jump 12,000 times. The distance of each fold is about 1 million light-years. Each jump takes time, about a month. About 986 years later, after 12,000 constant jumps and turns, we can reach our destination. 1. But this is just the most idealized time. After each jump, you need to look for supplies to replenish the energy consumed by jumping over a long distance of millions of light years. Plus the time for each trim. You have to adjust the direction of the jump several times to find a suitable galaxy. Conservatively estimate, His Majesty the Emperor, it will take 2,000 years to reach the target location. 1. 2,000 years. Qin Sheng was lost in thought. 1. 33%. Chapter 158 A New Way. How to quickly cross 12 billion light years. There is no doubt that 2,000 years is a bit too long. It's not that Qin Sheng can't wait. The current Qin Sheng has been transformed by strong intelligent thinking, assisted by psionic energy, and has an almost endless lifespan. Moreover, Qin Sheng's tactical dolls and many other races, as long as they are properly maintained, have an almost endless lifespan. 2,000 years, for Qin Sheng's endless life, is just a flick of a finger. But, in the past 2,000 years, even if Qin Sheng found a place to shrink and develop, he would have basically reached the 6th level. At that time, Dihao's inheritance of the 6th level civilization would be nothing to Qin Sheng. The question is, should it take 2,000 years to find Dihao's legacy? Just when Qin Sheng was struggling with this issue, he was suddenly prompted by the system. Ding dong, the 10-year period has come. Qin Sheng was stunned for a moment, dreaming of some kind of divorced marriage on the spot. 10 years period. What 10 years period? 01. The sound of the system continued to sound. The entire universe system announced that after 10 years of development, all the player races in the universe have entered the level of secondary civilization. Some of the player civilizations that are far ahead have even broken through to the 3rd level civilization. Hereby, the first Cosmos player civilization contest begins. The system will automatically select player civilizations within each river system to compete. The top player civilizations in each river system can also choose the competition area to participate in. The winner of the player civilization can get huge rewards from the system. Qin Sheng heard the words and slapped his forehead. Damn, he forgot about this. It has been 10 years since the game started. At this time, there will be the first civilization tournament in which the top player civilizations in every hexy in the entire universe will participate. Qin Sheng in his previous life had also seen this feat. However, Qin Sheng at that time was just a small 2nd level civilization leader among all living beings. Still struggling in the galaxy. How could it be possible to qualify for this kind of competition that only the top civilizations of every hexy in the whole universe can participate in? Therefore, Qin Sheng, who was struggling for his future in his previous life, didn't care about this event at all. Now, after the system's announcement, Qin Sheng also remembered this matter. And the next moment, Qin Sheng also immediately realized that this is a good opportunity. Each player civilization participating in the event will be automatically sent to the galaxy area of the competition venue by the system. And Qin Sheng's brain with strong intelligent thinking also quickly searched, and finally found it in his long-term memory. In the previous life, the players who participated in this round of the Milky Way galaxy were directly hailed to participate in the competition area of the Laniakea galaxy cluster 5,000 light years away. And after the game, you can also choose whether to return to the previous galaxy or stay in the current galaxy. And this, there is room for Qin Sheng to operate. Players from all over the universe can participate in the competition, and the competition area is divided into super galaxy clusters one after another. And most of the choices are based on the current super galaxy cluster area. As long as you reach this super galaxy cluster area, you are considered a person in the current area. Under such circumstances, Qin Sheng can completely compete in the current region, and after being sent to the past, the competition will end at the fastest speed. Then stay in the current competition area, jump again to the edge of the next competition area, and sign up for another regional competition. Then after signing up, let the system help Qin Sheng teleport a long distance and reach the target location. Will this save a lot of time soon? After thinking of this, Qin Sheng immediately began to study according to the announcement of the system and the automatically issued competition area. Qin Sheng is located in the Milky Way and the neighboring Andromeda galaxy, and more than 50 surrounding dwarf galaxies form the local group of galaxies. The local group of galaxies is 10 million light-years across. The local group of galaxies is located in the Virgo supercluster, with a diameter of 110 million light-years. The central area of the Virgo supercluster is about 60 million light-years away from the Milky Way. Above the Virgo supercluster is the Laniakea supercluster. The Laniakea supercluster is 520 million light-years across. Qin Sheng opens the star map of the entire Laniakea supercluster. At this moment, in the star map of the competition issued by this system, the entire Laniakea supercluster presents a fibrous structure composed of a vast ocean of galaxies. Each of the countless light spots on this fibrous structure is a river system. The Virgo galaxy cluster, where the Milky Way is located, the Hydra galaxy cluster, the Centaur galaxy cluster, and hundreds of other galaxy clusters have been divided into competition areas one after another. Qin Sheng started looking for the competition area that was furthest away from him, in the most fringe region of the Laniakea supercluster. As long as he signs up for these remote competition areas, he can be directly passed on to the target competition area by the system. Most people do not do this, after all, it is too far away. But Qin Sheng, can he be an ordinary person? As for the reward of the competition, according to the memory of the previous life, the championship reward of the competition should be the entry-level technology of the 4th-level civilization. After all, the top player civilizations that can participate in the competition are generally 3rd-level civilizations. And how vast is the universe? It's just a drop in the ocean. On top of such a huge player base, the top players may be due to adventures or other reasons. It is not surprising that someone can reach the level of the 3rd-level civilization within 10 years. As for the rewards of the competition, Qin Sheng didn't care. He only cares about how far he can run with the teleportation mechanism of this game. Anyway, looking at it now, after signing up for the most remote competition area, you can directly cross 500 million light-years and come to the most remote competition area of the Laniakea supercluster to compete. Then, the Laniakea cluster is one level higher, as is the Pisces-Cetus supercluster complex. The Pisces-Cetus supercluster complex contains 5 massive superclusters. Pisces Whale Ontology supercluster. The Perseus-Pegasus chain galaxy structure of the Perseus-Pisces supercluster. Pegasus-Pisces chain galaxy structure. The Sculptor galaxy wall of the Sculptor supercluster and Hercules supercluster. Then there's the Laniakea supercluster. Many of these huge galactic structures are you and me and you and me. Qin Sheng can quickly cross these distances through the system's competition transmission mechanism, turning back and forth between the competition areas. 33%. Chapter 159 Top Players from All Galaxies. The Terror of the Emperor. Subscription. P.S. There is a picture in the lower right corner, Andromeda, an overview of the local group of galaxies where the Milky Way is located. Do you want to sign up for the Cosmos Player Civilization contest? Hearing the system beep, Qin Sheng chose to confirm. Confirming the location of the player's civilization. The Qin Empire, ranked first in the ranking of player civilizations in the galaxy. Eligibility being confirmed. Confirming the competition area. The location of the Milky Way is the Andromeda Galaxy Group. Please note, the Emperor of the Great Qin Empire. You will represent the Andromeda Galaxy Group to the Virgo supercluster to participate in this civilization competition. 1. The Andromeda Galactic Cluster Participating Player Exchange Center is being established. A series of system sounds rang in Qin Sheng's ears. Qin Sheng nodded slightly, and a white light flashed in front of him. The representative of the galactic civilization, the Great Qin Empire, the Emperor, is entering the communication center space. The Fairy Galaxy Group is the local galaxy group where the Dakan Empire is located. This is a galaxy group consisting of about 50 large and small galaxies. Among them, the Andromeda Galaxy is the largest, and the Milky Way ranks second. There are 2 subgroups in the local group of galaxies. With the Milky Way as the center, if you look clockwise, you will be surrounded by the large and small Magellanic Clouds, as well as many dwarf galaxies. Carina, Fornix, Sculptor, Sagittarius, Draco, Ursa Minor, Ursa Major II, Ursa Major I, Shepherd, Sextant. Another subgroup is centered on Andromeda, surrounded by dwarf galaxies such as M32, M110, NGC 147, NGC 185, Andromeda I, Andromeda II, Andromeda III. In addition to these 2 subgroups, there are also distant dwarf galaxies such as Cetus Dwarf Galaxy, Phoenix Dwarf Galaxy, Pegasus Dwarf Galaxy, Leo A, Canis Venetian Dwarf Galaxy. To serve about 50 in the communication center space at the moment. The top players from the aforementioned galaxies, dwarf galaxies, have been gathered. Moreover, these players are clearly divided into one group. The largest group of them is the player group headed by the top player civilization in Andromeda, and the civilization players from the dwarf galaxy around Andromeda are vassal players. The Andromeda galaxy is 220,000 light-years in diameter, much larger than the Milky Way. The number of players also far exceeds that of the Milky Way. The top player is named Cha-Cha Ruth, an alien player who is different from human beings. In appearance, it looks a bit like a predator. It is a third-level civilization. Moreover, it was obvious to the naked eye that just Ruth was the only third-level player civilization among the players present. In this regard, the players from the surrounding dwarf galaxies are naturally very flattering to him. Master Russ, it is up to you whether the local galaxy group can win this competition. Yes, you are the only third-level civilization in the local galaxy group. If you win this competition, then our Andromeda galaxy group will be famous in the entire Virgo supercluster. At that time, within hundreds of millions of light-years, the entire Virgo supercluster will hear your name. For the flattery of the players around, it is obvious that Cha-Cha Ruth is extremely useful. Especially the line, "The whole Virgo supercluster will hear your name." This sentence even spoke to the heart of Cha-Cha Ruth. Cha-Cha Ruth's race is a race with a very high overall vanity, and naturally cares about these false names. But on the surface, he had to be humble. It's too early to say these words, let's wait for the top players in the galaxy to come. 1. That's exactly what Ruth said on the surface, but his petal-like mouth was already happy to see all the fangs inside. Hey, the diameter of the Milky Way is less than half the size of the Andromeda galaxy. No matter how powerful their top players are, how can they possibly compare to you? Some players are more flattering, and Cha-Cha Ruth is even more happy when he hears it. At this moment, a system announcement sounded. The player civilization of the galaxy, the first in the rankings, the Emperor of the Dakan Empire, enters the communication center space. A white light flashed. The white light dissipated, and a tall figure appeared not far away. The black armor boots stepped on the white and flawless ground of the space, and the electronic eyes of the visor with red light looked around. I saw a tall, black armored body, with two humanoid creatures tied with dragon horns on the forehead armor standing there. This is the communication space. Qin Sheng looked left and right to see all the players. At this time, the players from the dwarf galaxy associated with the Milky Way, who were not gathered around Charus, just wanted to approach Qin Sheng. But suddenly the whole body trembled, and the inhuman face suddenly changed, trembling, and a huge fear was born in my heart. At this moment, in their eyes, Qin Sheng's figure has turned into a giant head with dragon horns, and his eyes are shining with blood. The whole body exudes an extremely astonishing prestige that makes them extremely fearful. This kind of panic seems to come from the instinctive fear in their genes, as if seeing a natural enemy. Among these players, most of them are inhuman alien races, and they will naturally feel incomparable fear in front of the effect of Emperor Qin Sheng's halo. In the galaxy before, although there were many non-human alien races in the High-Level Civilization Council, the Dakan Empire was the leader of the galaxy. In order to lead the many advanced civilizations in the galaxy, Qin Sheng generally does not take the initiative to activate the second effect of the Emperor. But at this moment, it is unnecessary. Qin Sheng's purpose is not to compete to win the championship, but Li Li's is to use the system's transmission mechanism to cross the long universe in the name of the competition. I don't want anyone to approach him and interfere with him. Therefore, Qin Sheng's Emperor's halo is naturally to close the effect of the first humanoid closeness to prevent other humanoid races from getting too close to him. Fully open the effect of the second alien fear, and let these alien races stay away from him. Copy. In an instant, the communication center, which was still noisy, suddenly became quiet. Dozens of players looked at Qin Sheng in horror, and then quickly looked away, as if they looked for a while, they would die without a place to be buried. Naturally, Ruth also saw this scene. But on the whole, he also has a humanoid form, with hands and feet, more like a predator. The second effect of the Emperor's aura is not very useful to him. 1.33%. Chapter 160 Crossing 60 million light-years in an instant. Subscription. Great Qin Empire, Emperor. Such a high-profile, arrogant name. A trace of impatience flashed across Cha-Cha Ruth's face, and he felt incomparably disgusted with Qin Sheng, who stole his limelight. The Andromeda galaxy is twice as large as the Milky Way, and when Cha-Cha Ruth faces the Qin Empire from the Milky Way, he naturally has a little sense of superiority in his heart. It feels like a city person looking at a country person. just when Cha Ruth was about to step forward and look for Qin Sheng's unhappiness. He glanced at it, and only then noticed that Qin Sheng's side, only displayed in the communication space, was the lighted-up civilization level logo. 1 2 3 4. Cha Ruth's eyes widened suddenly, unable to believe what he saw. IV. The logo of the 4th level civilization. This Dakin Empire from the Milky Way is a 4th level civilization. For a moment, Cha Ruth, who didn't care much at first, was instantly filled with fear. A 4th level civilization. How could there be a 4th level civilization, and it is still from the Milky Way, which is only half the size of Andromeda? Cha Ruth swallowed, but Cha Ruth, whose sweat glands were not developed due to race, felt like he was sweating all over at the moment. Fear, powerlessness. At this time, the players of the alien races around them all looked at Cha Ruth. They were inexplicably afraid of Qin Sheng, and some of them wanted to find Cha 550 Rus to support them. However, Cha Ruth silently swallowed his saliva, closed his eyes and did not move at all. In this case, Qin Sheng is naturally a loner. Shortly after, the system's notification sounded again. All participating players have arrived. Preparing to transfer all player civilizations to the competition area of the home cluster of the Virgo supercluster. 1. This time, the Virgo Super Galaxy competition area. The number of participating river systems is 2,512. Number of participating civilizations from various river systems and their affiliated dwarf systems, 51,267. Players, please get ready, the teleportation is about to start. The Milky Way, the territory of the Qin Empire. On the planets, the beams of light fell down, covering the urban settlements where the various tactical humanoid girl races were located. After the light faded away, only empty planets remained. In the Milky Way, the patrol fleets of the Great Qin Empire that roamed the entire Milky Way were also covered by white light from top to bottom. After a while, the fleet in space disappeared, leaving only a silent space with nothing left. The entire Great Qin Empire. 837.16 billion people, 12 million warships, 25 planetary war stars, 4 neutron war stars, 1 emperor war star, countless war stars. All the city buildings were teleported away without leaving a trace. The sound of the system's announcement resounded. Qin Sheng opened his eyes. He was still in the central control room of the Emperor Star. The previous communication center space was just the consciousness space, and the purpose was to let the players of the local galaxy group contact each other and get acquainted with each other before participating in the competition. But it was of no use to Qin Sheng at all. The transfer should have been completed. Just when Qin Sheng was thinking about it, the system's voice sounded again. The star map of the Virgo galaxy cluster is being distributed, please pay attention to receiving it. 1. A virtual 3-dimensional projection of the universe appears. The star map shows that Qin Sheng and the entire Dakin Empire with a population of more than 800 billion are no longer in the Milky Way, but have already crossed a distance of 60 million light-years and came to the home galaxy of the Virgo supercluster. At this moment, it is displayed on the star map. The competition area was allocated to 12 large land planets with a diameter of 30,000 kilometers in the Dakin Empire. The average ABFC distribution of 12 large terrestrial planets in a single star system planetary system. At this moment, the population of more than 800 billion people in the Dakin Empire has all been placed on these 12 large terrestrial planets with a distance of 30,000 kilometers. This was originally empty and clean, as if it was just to house the planet of the civilization that was teleported, and it was already filled with various large cities. And the huge fleet of the Dakin Empire also appeared in this planetary system after a white light, spanning 60 million light-years. The system's transmission is fast. In less than a minute, I have already crossed 60 million light-years. If I let myself fly slowly in the universe, 60 million light-years, I would have to fly for nearly 5 years. Qin Sheng sighed while looking at the star map of the competition area in front of him. Qin Sheng discovered that in the entire competition area, the planetary system is extremely dense. In the Milky Way, not close to the galactic center, where normal civilizations can survive, generally speaking, the distance between planetary systems is not small. The small ones are 4 or 5 light-years apart, and the large ones are more than 10 or 20 light-years apart, even hundreds of light-years. In the competition area, the distance between stars and stars, the largest, was barely 2 light-years. Generally, it is 1 light-year interval. There are even smaller, and even two different civilizations that have been teleported into two planetary systems that are about to merge together due to their respective gravitational forces. In that planetary system, the orbits of all the planets in it are very chaotic due to the influence of different planets, but I maintain a strange balance. More than 50,000 stars are gathered in this area with a diameter of only 500 light years. More than 50,000 participating civilizations are all crowded into this area with a diameter of 500 light years. The universe is three-dimensional. This shows how crowded it must be. And just 1 light year away from the planetary system where the Dakan Empire is located, there is another planetary system. That's another player. Go spread the chaos. God, look after you. The voice from the 5th level Tzeentch Great Demon resounded in his ears, and on a planet of a certain planetary system in the competition area, a player of a humanoid race slowly opened his eyes. This humanoid race player has a bird with colorful feathers pecking its head, with colorful scales and wings behind it. He was clearly a Tzeentch devotee, from the Ursa Major group of galaxies next to the Virgo cluster. P.S. There is a picture on the bottom right, the Virgo supercluster. Although he is a player, he has been chosen by a 5th level Tzeentch. Finally came in, accepted my God's oracle, and came to participate in the competition. Among the more than 50,000 players, it should be impossible for a civilization to fight against my civilization. The player pecking at Wei Zhong began to check the number of civilizations in the competition area. In addition to this player who is a Tzeentch follower, players from other star systems, Korn, Slanesh, and Nurgle have also come to this division. And Nurgle